country with regards to the August polls. I'll be having a panel of two gentlemen later. But for now, allow me to bring in, the guests for the first part of this conversation. But remember also in between, we'll be linking up with our reporters following and tracking different events for us in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and other parts of the country. Plus, I invite you to be part of this conversation at KBC Channel 1, at Safin_Cheng on Twitter. Use the hashtag #NewsCheck. So for now, allow me to introduce my guests this morning. I'm hosting a panel of a lady and a gentleman, and they represent persons with disabilities and have been pivotal in this whole electoral process, playing different roles that they will be letting us know in just a bit. But allow me to introduce them, starting from my far left. I'm having this morning Ashura Michaels. She's a youth leader, and currently she's part of the list by the ODM party of nominated leaders. She's going to be representing persons with disabilities in the Senate. And of course, we also have this morning Paul Mugambi. Paul Mugambi is a diversity and inclusion expert. Thank you, both of you, for creating time for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
All right. So I'd like at this point, before we get into the conversation of the day, to both give you a chance to tell us a bit more about yourself. Ashura, you are not new. We've seen, you in the public domain, very passionate about what you do and, representing persons with disabilities. Also, Mugambi, you were telling me earlier about what you have done when it comes to innovations for persons with disabilities, also runs a company. I want to hear more about how actively engaged you both have been in this whole process. Let me start with you, Ashura.
Thank you, Safina Cheng. My name is Ashura Michael, and I'm a gender and disability public inclusion advocate, and I focus on the issues of governance also. I've been working with different organizations, both nationally and internationally, and for now I'm representing persons with disability in national government Affirmative Action Fund within Nairobi County, which is where I'm working with Honorable Passaris. I'm also an advisor, youth advisory in the Ministry of ICT. So, and also I'm an upcoming lawyer. Yeah.
Great. Good to have you. Such a great mind, sitting with us this morning, telling us, just inspiring young people out there, specifically those who are persons with disabilities, that you can indeed do whatever it is that you want to do in the society. Paul, I'd also like to hear a bit more about you and what you have done also, sort of like just turning your circumstance into a point of purpose. Tell me a bit more about Mr. Mugambi.
Thank you very much, Acheng, for hosting us. I've been looking forward to be in this show. Paul Mugambi is a public policy, diversity and inclusion expert, and I run a company called Disability Sausage Media, which is also an organization of persons with disabilities, where we reduce ableism in order to include everyone in the society. So in this organization, we deal with digital innovation, content creation, issues of disability mainstreaming and accessibility audits, and also advising political players or even organizations on how they can become more inclusive. For example, I can dare say that I'm one of the guys who have supported the Kenya Kwanza to develop its own manifesto to become more inclusive, and also in terms of reaching out to different organizations. We've been working with the Kenya Inclusive Program, whereby they have been capacity building organizations for persons with disabilities so that they can develop minimum standards when you talk about politics and what we expect disability inclusive issues to be highlighted by different political players, whether they are disability leagues or whether they are individual political parties. So I've been part of that building of organization and also supporting such initiatives so that we can have a more participatory. And being a public policy scholar, some of these things we need to help other people to come up and also inspire people so that they can get included.
All right, great. And I'll just pick up from where you have left and bring in Ashura on this. So today we are talking about a very important subject, and this is achieving inclusivity in politics. And when we are talking about inclusivity in politics in the context of persons with disabilities, what is it that you're looking at? How would you describe a political process that is inclusive from a point of view of a person with disability?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. When you talk of inclusivity, we are talking about involvement of every person in that particular process. Sometimes we fail when we think that just having someone there, that is actually inclusion. But truly, the question is, are we ready to meet the needs of the person with disability to make sure that they can fully participate in the process of election? We have a deaf person, we have someone who has visual impairment, we have someone who is on wheelchair, but what are their needs? What can we provide for them as reasonable accommodation for them to participate fully? For me, that is inclusion. And my own perspective is Kenya, yes, we are doing great because we have a great constitution and has provision on those aspects of inclusion. But we need to work more to make sure that we achieve in terms of implementing that. We have interesting policy, but we give the same policies to Uganda, they implement, and they do way better than we do. So we don't need to only physically involve them, but also make sure we provide for them the accommodation they need.
Great point you've brought up there. And I'd just like also to just get your reaction as well. Mr. Mugambi, you say you're a policy expert, and also you said that you have played a big role in helping the Kenya Kwanza Alliance come up with, provisions to cater for the welfare of persons with disabilities in their agenda. I'd just like you to also tell me a bit about some of the gaps you have seen or, challenges you have seen that, would encourage the exclusion of persons with disabilities in this electoral process.
Thank you very much, Cheng. Just like the way my colleague here has talked about, there is what we call checkboxing or tick boxing, which happens in the political or even in the social or economic affairs of persons with disabilities, whereby they are just brought to quantify the numbers but not offering quality in terms of representation, and that's what you are really looking at. We find that like the way IBC has rejected the list, it's simply because some parties were doing what we call tick boxing exercise, whereby they were not nominating maybe the real persons' abilities, youth, etc., but the real issue is that what we are looking at is some of the gaps which we expect to be addressed is the way issues of persons' abilities have been highlighted in our own political system, such that we find that one of the major issues among persons' abilities is about social protection, which is a major issue because it has been more of an exclusive affair because it has been targeting a few individuals. That is, let's give an example, it's 47,000 out of the 918,000 persons' abilities as highlighted by the Kenya Bureau of Statistics. And of course, these data we normally dispute as persons' abilities. We don't believe that we are 2.2%. But at the end of the day, what we are trying...
more or less?
We are less.
You're less?
Yes, according to that data. Because even when you look at the even IBC registry, the current IBC, it says that persons' abilities who are registered as voters, we are 18%, which means 3.9 million voters are persons with disabilities. So one of the gaps which we are experiencing is lack of data, correct data of persons' abilities in this case. And when you see Kenya Bureau of Statistics had a different number and now IBC has a different number, it tells us as researchers or public scholars that there is a lot which our country needs to do. Secondly, the issue about our policies. We have good policies, but we have poor implementation and resource allocation. The budgeting processes. We don't have the budgeting processes itself. It really exclude persons' abilities, whether we talk about whether it's education, whether we talk about transport, all these things, and we need to move out of that. Another aspect is the way we implement the projects. Yeah, most of the projects are good for the country, but they are majorly exclusive. I'll give a good example of the good Nairobi Express Highway. Do you know that Achieng, using the Nairobi Expressway, a person with a disability, even a person without a disability, let's not even talk about persons with disabilities, cannot cross some of these places because the routes have been closed. They are not accessible. They have bridges which have stairs, not ramps. So you can imagine if it's excluding the rest of the society, what about persons with abilities? So you find that some of these issues, I normally tell people that our society can be judged how it is civilized by the way it is able to include the largest minority who are persons with abilities.
All right, Mugambi, you're talking about so much that is very important. I want us to go step by step.
Yes.
Something I do not want us to miss, and Ashura, I'd like to bring you on board on this one. On the list of nominations he was talking about, just wanted to come out very clearly.
Yeah.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission just a few days ago rejected the nomination list by all the 79 political parties based on certain grounds, which included the fact that it did not meet the threshold of those who are supposed to be on that list, that is the women, the youth, the persons with disabilities. You sit here, you're one among those who had been proposed by the ODM party as, to represent persons with disabilities in the Senate. Your feeling about the commission rejecting this list, and also what ideally should be the principles that should guide political parties in crafting of this list?
Yeah, thank you. That is a wonderful question again. To be honest with you, most of the political parties now, if you're comparing the same with 2017, now there's a lot of improvement in terms of inclusion of women, youth, and persons with disability. So we have many ways of making sure that we can include, we have inclusion in this particular process. But I think political parties, they have tried their best to have the aspect of inclusion. But the challenge is the portal of IEBC itself does not have a section where it can segregate the aspect of disability. So now that becomes a challenge. So I think political parties have done their best, but we have to also push and make sure that we also have an increased number of women, youth, and persons with disability within the nomination list without any favor or process. Similarly to what Paul has said, the best way we can do is let the political parties follow the requirement as instructed by IEBC, but also they have to make sure that we have other aspects of inclusion that are included, right? Like gender top-up. Gender top-up, women with disability have never benefited from that. Youth have never benefited from that. So gender top-up should not focus only on the general aspect of being a woman. We have young women, we have also young women with disability who can also take that position and benefit from that. So I think we need also to follow the political party regulation and also follow the Constitution of Kenya and regulation of IEBC.
Thank you for that. And I'm really excited about this because I'm looking at you and you represent like the cocktail of all those who have been disadvantaged by this electoral process. The young people, the women, and the people with disabilities. And, your name has been proposed as, somebody who is going to be representing the persons with disabilities in the Senate. Coming from that background of being a woman, a young person, a person with disability, sitting in the Senate, what will be your priority areas?
Well, my top priority, because I know I've been picked to represent persons with disability by the ODM, but I'm still a youth. I can't run away from that. So I'll have to make sure that we have inclusion of all aspects of youth on all aspects. Because we have women who are persons with disability, we have youth who are persons with disability. All have challenges and they have different needs. So we have to find a way to make sure that we include all of them. Because in Kenya, you cannot achieve our vision 2030, or ODM cannot achieve their manifesto when some people are left behind. But I do thank my political party because they have worked hard to make sure that there is inclusion of every person, including the youth, because the aspect of manifesto of ODM, there's a huge aspect of social protection that Raila and Azimio group, they have make sure that social protection becomes a main agenda within their manifesto.
I like the fact that, you know, both the political players have looked at the issue of the interest of persons with disabilities and included it in their manifesto. In a bit, we'll be talking about how they have captured the interest of the persons with disabilities and how effective and sustainable those provisions are for both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. But just let me connect something, Mugambi, with what Ashura has said. Earlier, you cited the fact that persons with disabilities should not just be included for the sake of numbers, just to show that they are there, yes, but it should come with substance. You know, how effective can these opportunities be tapped? From a policy expert perspective, inclusion of persons with disabilities, how best should it be done so that it has influence, it has results, it actually brings out some sort of, you know, outcome?
Thank you very much. I believe that political parties have a role in terms of ensuring that the disability leagues work and get connected to organizations of persons with disabilities. Because one of the major things is that people say that persons with disabilities are invisible most of the time. And it's high time that IBC, political parties, and other duty bearers recognize that one point is that persons with disabilities, we are now educated, we've gotten the opportunities, a few of us. So at the end of the day, we should be the ones who are taking the mantle to participate equally and ensure that we achieve these goals. Because one of the major issues is that what has been happening is that we've not been connecting persons with disabilities who are also having quality representation vis-a-vis bringing out the policy issues which are being brought forward and seeking how to follow up in terms of the implementation of these good policies which are being planned or being developed by different stakeholders. Because in this Kenya, we know that we have great policies, but the implementation level becomes a big challenge. Another aspect which I believe you are asking a question before is about what principles should be observed in terms when we are looking at on these nomination processes. At the end of the day, there are these nomination rules which were gazetted by IBC, which came from the political parties. Your party followed these rules, plus also the regulation from the political party of registrar. Those issues, if they are followed well, I believe we won't be here, because they are very well articulating issues of how persons with disabilities can be represented, and also looking at the issue of how people with disabilities have been in these political parties, because some of the people have been participants in the political processes. Like, for example, if you may cite different aspects whereby we've seen some politicians with disabilities coming out, and we need to give them the opportunity so that they can also participate and contribute much better. And when you're talking about prioritization, the gender top-up list needs to have prioritization of persons with disabilities so that they can get that representation. Secondly, looking also on the issue around the age, the youth and women with disabilities, because these have been part of, when you look at some of these lists critically, you will find that there is that a bit of persons with disabilities not being there in different counties. Although, yes, we can say that because of the capacity building which the political parties have been done, and also the issue of the way people are now coming up in terms of inclusion, there is improvement from 2017. But at the end of the day, we need to see the outcome, the real outcome, that we won't have maybe fake persons with disabilities on IBC. And one of the things which can be implemented is IBC and political parties need to go and seek a confirmation from the National Council of Persons with Disabilities to confirm that Paul Mugambi is a visually impaired, Ashura is a deaf person, Lady X is a wheelchair user or a crutch user, so that we cannot have fake persons with disabilities.
You mean we have fake
us.
Persons with disabilities? It's actually a thing. Like somebody would actually fake being somebody with disability.
Yes, it's true, because these are some of the issues which the government is grappling with, and also persons with disabilities grappling with, because in 2017 we know that 17 counties did not have representation of persons with disabilities, and some of the proposed names, maybe some of them were fake, and due to technical issue in the social justice, persons with abilities were not able to get the real persons with abilities on board. And secondly, when you look at that fake persons with abilities, we find that even within this tax issue about persons with ability being exempted, there are those persons who are making themselves to become disabled while they are not. So it is a big issue which is affecting how persons with abilities can be known, and that's why we are making a great recommendation that when IBC and political parties want to know the rightful persons, they need to get the duty bearers, who are the National Council, so that at the end of the day, we may not come again to complain after the political process has ended that we are having fake persons with abilities. Hence that when the National Council persons with ability takes responsibility, we will break that gap of having individuals who do not have disabilities representing us.
Thank you so much, Mugambi. Fake persons with disabilities? I mean, in Kenya we will see things. But Ashura, coupled with all these challenges, which include even fake persons with disabilities taking advantage of the opportunities spared for persons with disabilities, I just want to look at how difficult or how easy it is for persons with disabilities to vie. Let's leave nomination aside, because the first step of them being represented and being the part of the face of the leadership of the country is for them to be given a chance to vie, and the playing field should be equal for them to have those opportunities. But then talk to me about how difficult or how easy it is for a person with disability in Kenya today to rise up and say, I want to be member of parliament, I want to be governor, I want to be president of this country. How does it look like?
Wow. I'll tell you, my sister, it's not an easy thing, because now women and youth are complaining about representation, and those are people who don't have disability, right? So I tried vying for senator in Nairobi. So you can imagine me being a youth, being a woman, and a person with disability. So I have three combined in one. The cost of the process, then the social perspective about disability. It makes it hard for someone with disability, because the experience wasn't easy. Most of the time, the political party will give you the opportunity to try to look for the primary nomination, and people, you talk to them. Then, for instance, I was accepted to try and vie for the position of Senate Nairobi County, and there are some doubts from other people, like, this is a youth, not married, and she has a disability. Will she be in a position to change her policies? They'll focus more on the situation that the person is, rather than the skill and expertise that the person has. We have the aspect of attitude that needs to change. We need to change the perspective that we have about person with disability, to look at the agendas that the person brings on board. What are the plans that they have to change the community, right? So we need to remove the DSI in the disability and focus on the ability part of it, so that we can make it possible for us. I'm learned. I meet all the requirements that are required within that position of a Senate. I can pay for the nomination within the political party group, but why am I getting those barriers that are not experienced by other persons? So we need more awareness in terms of capacity building, so that, and that should start from the community level to the national level. I think the aspect of civil education is not at par, and we shouldn't be thinking of it, especially when we are just near education. We need to start early enough, start from the roots, and go up. I'm also I'm one of the Miss President 2022. we need programs similar to that can help change the social perspective about persons with disability, so that people can see the capacity that persons with disability have and what they can bring on board and help the community. So we need to have more programs that can give women the ability to lead, the expertise to lead, but also create awareness on the abilities that persons with disability have. Because we have our manifestos, we have agendas that can help solve the challenges that community experience. So participation of persons with disability in politics is very expensive. For instance, for me, the cost of interpretation is very, very expensive. I have to cater for the cost of interpretation each and every time I'm campaigning for them. It becomes very expensive compared to someone who is campaigning on their own. And I think political parties in that should have a fund that will support the participation of persons with disability. Because what is shocking for me is political parties, most of the time they say, just wait, we are going to give you nomination. For nomination position, we have 2 positions, right? How are we going to fill and ensure inclusion when you have only 2 positions? We also need to have nomination aspect, but also have the opportunity to vie in the political arena. So remember the Constitution, Article 54, Section 2 says, we need 5% of elective and nominative position for persons with disability, but we have never achieved even a percentage of that. Because, and that is why my hope is, with the next government, we are going to give not only nomination, appointive and elective position, and many other opportunities that are there for persons with disability.
Wow, you have really elaborated every other aspect of what it takes for a person with disabilities to go for an elective seat in this particular country. And before I wrap up that point, I'd just like to also bridge it with what happened yesterday. It relates with the High Court decision yesterday that quashed the decision of the Electoral Commission to bar gospel singer Reuben Kigame from contesting for presidency over alleged lack of adequate voter signatures to support his bid. In fact, just Judge Anthony Mrima ordered the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to include Mr. Kigame on the presidential ballot. One of the things that IEBC used to bar him from being part and parcel of those who are going for this presidential race is that, he did not meet the required threshold of those who are vying as president. This is includes, presenting at least 2,000 signatures registered in each of a majority of the counties as contained in the elections regulations. Yes. But in defense, Mr. Kigame said that IEBC actually discriminated against him. He talked about, him having, as a person with disability, he was undertaken through a rigorous process of being cleared to vie for presidency without regarding his condition as a person with disability, and also went ahead to say that contrary to what IEB said, he actually had enough signatures from across the country that he presented to the electoral body on May 29th. I can go on and on about this case, but just to bring you on board, Mugambi, do you feel that perhaps the bar is set too high for persons with disabilities to actually go for elective seats in this country?
Maybe to take you a bit back.
Yes.
I think we have 4 barriers which persons with disabilities experience. That is attitudinal, environmental, communication, and financial barrier. And when you look on all these, they all lie under what we call that ableism of persons with disabilities, whereby whatever the site is setting, it doesn't want to do it, but they want to do it for you. Secondly, when you talk about what you've raised about Reuben Kigame, for sure I can confirm that it is a discriminatory process, because what is expected is that when IBC was giving that condition, they would have provided reasonable accommodation. One, as a blind person, you have to use another person to read for you, because the communication which is being presented to you, it is not in an alternative format in the first place. So if Kigame uses Braille to read, so he needs to confirm that all this has been done, and also he needs to use a third party to ensure that these signatures are correct or everything is correct. And that's why I was sad to hear IBC telling us that they won't provide Braille ballots because what we look in terms of principles of the convention or even on the constitution, there is what we call individual choices and autonomy, which is not being provided for a person with a disability, so that to ensure that this person is able to achieve or actualize his a possibility of participating in an electoral process. So when you look on such conditions, it is somehow sort of discriminatory, and that's why when you look on the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, they have promised to develop what we call anti-discriminatory policy, which does not exist in our country. Because most of the time we find that persons with abilities have been denied opportunities, whether it is employment, whether it is even in the political process, just because they look on your disability, not the ability. Because what do you think that I as a person who has a master's of public policy that cannot able to do, or like be maybe the chief executive of ODM, or even the chief executive of Kenya Kwanza, what really limits me? And I have what it takes. If it's education, I have. If it's communication skills, I have. If it's just that lack of support system within our country is what is making us not to participate very well. I believe and I know that there are many persons with abilities who have qualification, but because the system is set in a manner that is somehow skewed towards specific goals, which are more of charity model instead of empowering them. Because you find that if, for example, I myself wanted maybe to vie for governor in Nairobi, I should have economic resource, which I don't have. And the same applies to Ashura. She doesn't have that economic muscle. Secondly, the way people see you as a person with a disability. For example, there is this ableism statement which go around that this person, because I'm blind, you would see development. Who told you need eyes to see? So at the end of the day, you find that it's all about how people perceive us. They think that we cannot do it because of the way they look at us. If, for example, you're talking to a person who is deaf-blind, then this person, you think that this person cannot communicate. While we know that there is tactile communication. If you are seeing a person who is deaf, he uses a sign language interpreter. Simple things like having proper arms is making ourselves not to be inclusive. And those are the things which you are saying, if you are able to provide reasonable accommodation, you can be able to make our country much better. And that's why when you look at the campaign activities, that's why we are seeing that in the campaign rally they are having these stands which are too high. Even a person with a disability cannot really go up there, or even they're not providing for us alternative communication, braille materials in the campaign activities. But I would like to say that IBC has tried this round because last week they launched a braille version of the voters.
We'll go there in just a bit.
Okay.
We'll go there in just a bit. What IBC has done right this time, because there's a lot that the Commission has done. Still, we have a long way to go. But I'd like Ashura to also just, you have a lot to add on that.
Yes. I was waiting for that opportunity for me to respond to that particular question. I want to agree and disagree with my friend Paul. First is, yes, somehow I do agree. IBC has failed to have reasonable accommodation. But also, when you are vying to become a president, the aspect that you are aware of that IBC ought to provide for you. We shouldn't assume that some of these things we ought to communicate to them, propose to them, because IBC was saying because of 2,000 required supporters per county, if you don't achieve that, then you won't be in a position to qualify for the position. I think that is okay. That is an aspect of regulation and policy, right? On the aspect of reasonable accommodation, that is I'm with you. But on the aspect of other requirements, in terms of the signs, we shouldn't think that me, because I have disability, I can't get the 2,000 voters who are supposed to support me in the process of buying. So if you are also late in terms of taking forward your submission that are required by IBC, then that is also on you. We have regulations that are set. We also ought to follow them. We can't say, I want to become a president but reduce my requirement as other people requirements are higher than ours.
Okay.
We want that equality on all the aspects. So I think then for them, the IBC can say, I think because of this barrier, our reasonable accommodation is we can give you more time. That is acceptable for me. But if you don't communicate the same, then it becomes a challenge. I think for me, I think that is, I pick the case on a positive way.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Ashura, is it fair to be subjected to this rigorous process, coming from a background of the existing inequalities and the existing challenges and discrimination that persons with disabilities go through? So if you have candidates, like say 6 candidates going for an elective post and one of them is a person with disability, their requirements I agree, their timelines I also agree, but is it fair to subject them to the same level of, considering,
and I think I've responded to that.
Yes.
I think, but I've said we have. I think the reason why they went to court was because of the aspect of the 2,000 voter support that was required, not because of other aspects of reasonable accommodation, right? So I do believe that we need to have the equal requirements for that. What wasn't fair was not being provided for with reasonable accommodation. But the aspect of requirement of having 2,000 voters who are supporting you, that is a requirement that should, and me as a person with disability, I should be in a position to show that I can do this, to achieve. So we wouldn't want sympathy because we have disability. No, we don't want to use our disability as sympathy. Yes, we do have challenges. We have to push for accommodation, but the procedure is never equal to any person, be it person with disability or person without disability. I mean, the challenge that we have, financial, communication, environmental challenges that we have, I think IBC can do better, especially now. But now we have many persons who are candidates with disability, and many people have taken it serious to make sure that we have inclusion of persons with disability.
Great. All right. So sympathy is something that Ashura actually strongly
I agree with her. I agree with her.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what we know that there is what we call the twin approach in terms of when you approach issues of disability. And one way of ensuring that we have that inclusivity is also providing that affirmative requirement of ensuring that when you're having this reasonable accommodation, as much as we are saying that we want that equal aspect, we have not yet reached out in this country of ours. These are not, historically, even when you remember that when women were starting to vote in America, they started by being given that affirmative action of trying to equalize that opportunity. And when we don't do it, it won't be achieved, because at the end of the day, we cannot say that me as a person with a visual impairment, I can be put in the same scale with maybe Sakaja, who has been in the game for long, or the same weighing skill with the Polycarp, who they have the resources. So I need to be given more prioritization and also be supported so that I can ensure this one actually is actualized. Yes, we have those what we call minimum standards, but at the end of the day, for us to achieve that great equality or inclusivity real, we have really to ensure that we give more support to candidates with disabilities. I can give an example that in Kenya Kwanza, in Igembe East, we have a person with a disability who is on a wheelchair vying there, but he's still facing the challenges which we are talking about here. And at the end of the day, if we cannot make that strict or opportunity to ensure that this person himself, or even the guy in CI who is vying there with a disability, to be supported, at the end of the day, it will be a question, because we have to fight 10 times. Because even in the basic things, if today, Achenga, if I can tell you, for example, I have to convince you 10 times that I am able in some place, because at the end of the day, these are the things we have to talk about, because no one really believes in our capacity. Yeah. They tend to look on our inabilities.
You have to prove yourself.
Exactly. I have even simple things like even maybe simple things like employment, even dating. I have to convince someone Yes, you have to do it, because at the end of the day, we as persons with disabilities, we face these challenges, and even in the political, it's just the same in the political processes. You have to play 10 times. Ashura can tell you here, if even in the current processes, let's not lie ourselves. The current political system, we don't have even the offices for our own leagues. So we have to continue begging, but at the end of the day, we have to continue to push the wheel so that we play 10 times.
ODM
Much better.
Allow Ashura to say
I think maybe a political group doesn't have, but ODM has. But I think if you continue pushing on that, you can get an office.
Yes.
For ODM, it has been institutionalized in a perfect way. I think we have an individual responsibility also in terms of pushing for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we are continuing this very interesting conversation, and I love the points that both of you are bringing, sort of like the challenges and the points of action that could bring solutions. And just at this point, it would be important also to mention that assisting me in the sign language interpretation for this very important conversation is my amazing colleagues, Byron Abuli and Lensa Odingo, just for us to be able to bring out the challenges that the persons with disabilities are facing in this electoral process, how they want to be included and what should be done to make that possible. So Mugambi, I'll go back to you. What have we done right this time around? Reports have it that certain provisions have been made that have made life easier and bearable for persons with disabilities in this coming election. IEBC has made certain provisions. Talk to us about some of them, and how are you satisfied with what has been done to include the persons with disabilities this time around?
I normally tell people that as disability social media, I normally tell people that inclusion is a marathon and it's a process. It cannot end within one day. So one of the, I really appreciate the current political dispensation, and also maybe the role the media which has played in terms of highlighting issues of persons with disabilities, and also the organizations of persons with disabilities, because we are educating the public more. And two key things which have come out very clearly, especially for IEBC. One is the introduction of an app for sign language interpretation, which will help voters who are deaf and hearing impaired to vote. That's a very distinct thing which has never happened in our history of our country. Two, introduction of Braille version of the voters' education, but I really wonder why they refuse the Braille ballot. Another aspect is whereby they have, at least the political parties, they have developed the disability leagues. As much as they are upcoming, that's a great opportunity to see that even persons with disabilities have been involved, and also getting more persons with disabilities to be voters or even members of the political parties. That is a great opportunity to show that even persons with disabilities, they can participate, and this is a big step in terms of our political inclusion process which are taking place in our country. Lastly is the issue of persons with disabilities themselves. Seeing persons with disabilities coming out in both the ODM and Kenya Kwanza participation in the nomination processes, it was a great opportunity, because reading some reports, they say that Kenya Kwanza or the UD had at least 300 individuals, persons with disabilities who participated in the nomination processes, although most of them came number 3, 4 there. But that is a sign. Participation is one thing. It's one thing. But getting the ticket is another thing. Yeah. So it's all our processes, and also seeing that even within ODM in Siaya and some places where I saw some representation has been there, and also seeing those persons with disabilities like Councillor Mudhoni, Hero Kipchumba, Ashura's, Maura, and the Sankoko of the day coming out to talk about issues of disability. It's a great reducing stigma and discrimination, because at the end of the day, what we are really looking at is how we can reduce ableism and see the real participation of persons with disabilities themselves, not having those individuals who are talking on our own behalf. Because I normally tell people that even if you go to study issues of disability and you don't have a disability, you will never understand what we experience ourselves. Who knows where it pinches? Great. Ashura, he has talked about what has been done right. Also, tell me a bit about whether this satisfies you, or what change
do you want to see going forward to ensure inclusion of persons with disabilities in the electoral process?
Yeah, thank you. I think everything has a beginning. Everything follows a particular procedure for it to be achieved. For what has been said, like disability, inclusion of persons with disabilities like marathon cannot be achieved in one sitting. But we have to thank the committee for persons with disability that has been established by the commission, which is a great step, because they get a lot of advice from that community. But back to political parties, also I'll want to commend them for their support to the disability leagues. For us to achieve that, we need to start from somewhere. We need to start from the aspect of education, which is paramount to the process. If you get quality education for persons with disability, I promise you for sure, that will open many doors for persons with disability. So the next government should focus on quality education. For instance, we have CBC at the moment. Many teachers are great, but they don't have training on how to have that CBC tailored for persons with disability, to make sure that if we have empowerment of education process will be easy. Then secondly, economic empowerment. As Mugambe said, politics needs financial resources. Without economic empowerment, without opportunity to job, you can't have access to political process for persons with disability. So we need education and economic empowerment to make it easy for persons with disability to be at par with others. For the youth and women, also, we need to make sure that we focus on the aspect of quality education and economic empowerment, and that will, at the end, support the political process.
Just to stay on another outstanding matter that I've seen, I would cite an example of Senator Gertrude Musuruve, who has served as a nominated, leader, nominated senator for quite a while. And then in this election, she decided, enough with the nomination, I'm going for the elective position. I'm using this example to bring out what political parties can or are doing to groom nominated people to actually be in a position. Is there something like that? Do we have, because you cannot be nominated for a lifetime. Is it important?
Not really. I think political parties should give opportunity to persons with disability, because I believe we have many people who can vie without going through nomination. For instance, Tim Wanyonyi, Honorable, he never went through nomination, but he did that. He became the MP, and over like 10 years, right? Within Westland area, and is one of the best MPs within the country. What we need to do is give persons opportunity so that they can show their ability. Because when you are giving nomination, the society will never change their perspective about persons with disability. People will be thinking like they have their position, so they should wait their position to be nominated to represent persons with disability. Because we also have the aspect of gender top-up, but we also need to vie, right? So political parties should make sure that out of whatever position, either be it elective or nominative, within the nomination list, they should also have persons with disability. But sad enough, I'm happy with ODM. We have the woman representative candidate in Migori who is vying to show that we have that ability as persons with disability, and we can do better. We shouldn't only focus on the aspect of nomination, right? It's only one person who are getting nomination, but what happens to the rest? The aspect of, I think, if we have a financial empowerment, and I have the agenda and the manifesto that are needed, if you give me the opportunities, I believe I can show you my ability.
Wow, Ashura, so full of life, very passionate, and a strong advocate of being assertive. She's against this issue of, feeling sorry for someone or sympathy. She's believing that, people with disabilities have to be assertive and push for what they really want, and she believes that they can, because indeed they can.
There are two ways to look at it. One, the aspect of nomination, it's quite okay because it was the aspect which was brought in our constitution because of the way persons with abilities have been marginalized. Secondly, when you look at it, it's also an aspect whereby if Ashura has been nominated this round, next time we don't need to have like Ashura to be repeated, to be nominated again. He needs also to give an opportunity to another person with a disability to get that opportunity. So when you see Senator Gertrude, the Honorable Janet Teya of Kajiado, who was also nominated in 2013 by TNA, now she has been the women rep for Kajiado, and right now she is vying again, and Tim Wanyonyi and others who have been nominated, they have used the opportunity to sell their policies and not just their issues about disability, but also larger society. It also impacts in towards changing that aspect, and having the nomination slot does not deny us as persons with abilities to really participate, because if a society can be able to give us an opportunity, even without that nomination, it can even be much better, so that we can play the equal league. But this nomination thing was brought because of the way persons with abilities historically, we've been marginalized, we've not been represented. It was a question of how we can enable or bring that affirmative action, just like the way we're having the women rep position. It is a form of an affirmative action. But once we are able to achieve that affirmative action, like maybe having the numbers of maybe all women, at least 2/3 or half of the government being women, the way it is supposed to be, we don't need this affirmative action. And if we are also able to elect more persons with abilities, when you have this opportunity, if you give opportunities to persons with abilities, at the end of the day, we'll reduce that issue of nomination, and it will be, the society will be able now to judge our character, our abilities, our capacity, so that we can be able to, to deliver.
Based on your track record and your capabilities.
Exactly.
I think before we move to the next question, I think Kenya needs to change Article 1 of Constitution of Kenya, which stipulates that we need to have 2 representatives of persons with disability and marginalized group. So you can, in 2017 we had an issue because we had 17 counties which did not have representation of persons with disability. And also many persons with disability are not well represented because of the interpretation of the word disability. Who is a person with disability, right? I think IEBC and political parties need to understand the variation and the complexity of the family of persons with disability and the different groups of persons with disability that we have. We have people with autism who have never been represented. We have people who are deaf who have never been represented. We have many aspects of disability that have never been represented. I think that aspect of the Constitution needs to come out more clear so that IEBC can make sure that all 47 counties have a representation of persons with disability.
All right, great point you brought out there. And we're just about to wrap up, but I want us to look at the electorate, because at the end of the day, if the playing field is leveled and persons with disabilities have a competitive advantage to go for these elective positions, at the end of the day, those who will vote them in to become leaders are the registered voters. If you look at the society and how it's wired and how it's positioned right now, do you see a society or a community that is ready to vote in a person with disability? Is there goodwill from that side? Let's talk about that. Let me start with Ashura, then I'll come to you, Mugambi.
Yes, we have changes in society. And the community is changing their perspective towards persons with disability. And I'm thinking those MPs who have helped contribute towards that change, changing the negative perception about persons with disability. Nairobi people love Tim Wanyonyi, and they would have wanted him even to be the government where possible. Right? But now the challenge is also with the political parties. They have also to be in a position to give persons with disability an opportunity. right? We have the aspect of direct nomination, we have the aspect of zoning, you know, which can affect the process of vying for a person with disability. We need to have a smart strategy in terms of how we go about the aspect of zoning, in terms of how we go about nomination, so that we can achieve a lot in terms of inclusion. But as Paula said, in a classroom, we have to continue learning each and every time. Yeah. And that is the process that we are in. We need to continue do civil education within our community.
Yeah, Ashura saying leading by example has really helped. Some of the leaders who have been elected who are leaders with disabilities have really helped to change the negative narrative that is there when it comes to disability. Mugambi, what's your take? Do you think society is ready to vote in a leader with disability? Based on the fact that earlier you said you have to convince someone 10 times that you can actually implement even a development project. How easy is it though?
It's not an easy process, but what I can say there is hope, because one of the aspects which I have seen, which has grown because I've been to this industry for more than, let's say, 20 years, within government and within the civil society of Kenya and outside. What I can say in the current Kenyan political processes, we've seen a lot of changes taking place, and taking an example with Kenya Kwanza, there is a day I was invited as an artist, but I decided to change the aspect of how we understand disability inclusion. I ensured that Deputy President understood what is blind cricket, because I'm the only blind cricket player in Kenya. And that simple aspect changed his aspect about disability inclusion, and tried to understand that we have to take disability inclusion in a more human right approach, whereby when you see issues of rights of persons with disabilities, they are not just charity way of doing it. And that's why when you look at the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, it really has turned around issue around, maybe, for example, when you talk about inclusive education, it is not what the current situation whereby we are talking special education. We are talking about the aspects whereby we want to see learner-centered approaches being adapted for persons with disabilities so that they can become included in a more specific area. We also see that issue of employment, which has been done for the community, whereby Kenya Kwanza are proposing to have an disability employment strategy, which will help to see the development milestones for persons with disabilities in employment. Because in the current situation, either persons with disabilities are not employed, they are either underemployed, or they are not there. And that's why we have this aspect of begging within our own community. So what I can really say in terms of changing this attitude or processes, there is that change process taking place in terms of our leadership processes, understanding what we are doing as a community. And that's why I can really say that if Kenya Kwanza given an opportunity, they will implement a more disability inclusive program.
Thank you. As we wind up, Ashura, that made you laugh. I want you to have an opportunity for your final remarks, and also throw in there a little bit about what Azimio la Umoja One Kenya has as a promise for persons with disabilities in 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think Azimio, they have a great plan on that aspect, and they have a deeper understanding on the aspect of person with disability, right? So, yes, it's true. Talking to someone to accept the aspect of person with disability is a challenge. But now I know with Baba and Martha on his side, everything will be okay. And the promise is to not only make sure that persons with disability have access to free education and economical empowerment, but there's an aspect of changing the society perspective about persons with disability. Raila government has promised to also help amend the Disability Act to make sure that we have access to economical and educational empowerment for persons with disability. We also have a promise that if we don't have a dignity for persons, we cannot achieve that. Raila has promised that under his government, he will make sure that within Kenya, they will provide dignity for persons with disability so that they can be accommodated within the community. Because the issue is not an individual issue, it's a community issue. It's not a government issue. If every person has dignity and acceptance, then nothing can bar them from have an opportunity, even if they have a disability. So as a government will be doing that, and they'll make sure that also the nomination list is not only within the county level, but it's also within the national level. Me, I'm below 30 years as a youth also. What does it mean? It shows a brave way that the government of Azimio will provide opportunity for persons with disability, even now, from top government position, to make sure that persons with disability are included in all aspects of political life.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That is well elaborated. Ashura Michaels, a youth leader, now on the proposed list by the ODM party to represent persons with disabilities in the Senate. Hopefully it goes well with you. IEBC is yet to make a decision on that. Political parties were given 7 days to rework their list and submit it back to the commission, and we'll be finding out more about that in the coming days. But of course, I've also been having a sit down with Paul Mugambi. He's a diversity and inclusion expert. We have been talking about achieving inclusivity in politics in our country. Just 20 days to the August polls. A lot has been said, so it's left to those who are in charge now to do what is needful. One thing I take home from this conversation is that let's not focus on the DIS in the disability. Let's focus more on their ability and what they can be able to do. That is what I take home. A very big thank you to Byron Abuli and Lensa Odingo, who have also made this interview quite possible for us. We really appreciate. But for now, we are going to be taking a very short break. We are coming back, talking more about the road to the August polls on the other side. Do stay with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kupata lazima nishike. Kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza *811 *962 hash.
Lazima nishike mapema. Nisiposhika simu mapema utakasirika. Unajua mimi nikiwa mtu ya marathon najua niko na experience kabisa. Niko na experience. If you don't hurry, you will not break the record. Okay, wacha nishike simu.
Kupata lazima nishike, bonyeza *811 *962 hash. *811 *962 hash.
As campaign intensifies for the upcoming general election, what does all this mean for you, the voter? What do the candidates have to offer? How prepared are agencies charged with the election process? Join John Kuria and Safina Chieng on Kenya Decides. This and every Tuesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 as we unpack elections 2022 with a panel of various stakeholders. Make informed electoral decisions.
Generation inakuja ni sisi tunalidi nchi.
Justina Wangui wa Mae, Root Party of Kenya.
Ukiitwa deputy itika.
Martha Wangari Karua, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party.
Tungetaka tuseme Wakenya wameamua.
Rigathi Gachagua, UDA.
We are coming to bring in change.
Ruth Wambui Musheru, Agano Party. Battle of the Deputies. The Deputy Presidential Debate live on the 19th July 2022, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Genova, talk to me, please. Genova, please talk to me.
I'm Furna from Green Hill. Are you Genova's lover from the mortal world?
Your body has been damaged. You may not be fit to carry a baby.
No way. I must keep this baby.
Echo.
All I know, God is holy. Protect your life if you wanna know.
No other, but I knew them for them. We call them the weathermen.
On fire, pan Babylon daily. Why we pray that you and now you feel protect me? Can't trust a system we're designed to fail me.
People of the country, nobody going like we did far. We blind now, we just can't feel.
I'm living a dream, yeah.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. This is News Check in case you're just joining us, and we are talking about the preparedness of the country when it comes to the August polls. Earlier, we had a very engaging conversation on how to include persons with disabilities in the electoral process. And right now, we are shifting gears just to talk about other developing issues on the road to the August polls. And with me this morning is Engineer Ruben Liala. He's a candidate for Member of Parliament seat in Mathare constituency right here in Nairobi. Thank you so much for creating time for us.
Pleasure too.
All right, so we're also expecting lawyer Gibson Gisore. He's a lawyer and a political analyst. Hopefully he will be joining us as we proceed with this conversation. But very quickly, Ruben, it's just 20 days to the August polls. You are a key stakeholder in this election, and today we are talking about preparedness when it comes to the August polls. Where do you rate us when it comes to that word? Are we prepared?
Those who are saying we are not prepared, I don't know where they're getting that from. All of us, okay, most of us have been students. We've sat for exams. Do you ever walk into that exam? I mean, you will be given like 4 years for secondary, right? There is always that bit that you always feel I'm inadequate, regardless of how much you've put in. And it's okay for IBC to feel like, what else haven't we done? But it is not right for those who are out of that institution to sell fear and uncertainty to the country. Because the guys who are actually in control, in charge of IBC, are competent. They've been there before, done that, and we were okay with it. Why not this other time?
So you feel we are ready to go? If elections are to be conducted tomorrow, we would be okay?
I'll put it better. We are going to be the highest scorers in Africa in terms of election management. I don't see IBC failing us as Kenyans. Because I am a member of PPLC. I have seen them work with us for the last 5 years. We have always questioned their moves. Sometimes there will be hiccups. Like at the moment, I really don't understand why they are pushing parties to fill nomination slots that they are not interested in. Like, I don't understand, for example, if Labour Party of Kenya has chosen to only nominate 50 people, why it should be an issue that we have to be forced to fill 70. It doesn't make legal sense to me, but those are just teething problems that we would expect either way, regardless of who is in charge. Yes, so I wouldn't say that these hiccups that we are finding at the moment should be something to cause animosity and to derail us from the focus ahead of us.
Just because you brought it up, just a clarification on something you've said. You shouldn't be compelled to fill up the nomination slots. Is it because there are no people to fill those slots, or why the laxity in filling up those slots from a political party's perspective?
For example, if you are asking me to fill a position for somebody at the coast, and I don't have candidates there, then you see you're using me for a fool. I already know I don't stand a chance at the coast. For example, Labour has, I think, only 2 candidates in Central Province. And then you ask me to fill 13? Why can't I just give you 1? Because that is where the probability would put it for me. Yes, so, and of course, we are in talks with IBC. They need to see this sense for what it is, so that we objectively do what is going to give us results, not doing things for the sake of doing things. Yeah.
All right. You've talked about, people not, let's not be too harsh on the commission. I mean, but there are very fundamental issues that have been raised just days to the election. For instance, the results transmission process, the choice of companies that were given tenders to, supply election materials. Queries such as those, they are not crucial at this point?
Saying they are not crucial, then I would be insubordinating the rights of those who are saying that it is crucial.
Yeah.
So I believe they have a right to voice their concern.
Yeah.
Where I have a problem is there are better ways of raising this concern without actually bringing animosity, uncertainty, and bringing a heat 20 days to election that most likely is going to be a minus to our achievement. I would rather, if you truly are aware and certain some procurement laws were flawed, then you go to court. Yes, and you see, once it is in court, rumors are taken away from it. You let the judiciary handle it. That is how we work. Yes, but if you're going to stand before media or say social media, castigate people who do not have a chance to even defend themselves, because it is tough for them now. They are burning midnight oil, and you want to look at them like they are doing nothing, honestly. You are discouraging a people who all the hope of Kenyans are on their shoulders, as it were.
But don't you think they have a responsibility to clear the air, because fundamental issues have been raised with regards to how they've conducted operations within the commission, which have cited a few examples there. Others touch on voter identification, the preferred choice of how it should be done. And these are things that if IEBC does not get right, then it could probably just affect the outcome of the election. And you agree that they are weighty issues and people have a right to raise them. But what responsibility do you then place on the commission in as far as clearing the air and clearing the grey areas is concerned? Because they have to do that.
Safin, that question ain't right. I'm sorry, but that question doesn't sound really right.
Okay.
In this sense.
So they have no responsibility whatsoever, that's what you said.
What is their name? Independent Electoral Commission, right? That's who we call them. It's a public office. Do you address issues through social media in your house? That office is open for all of us. Why not walk there, put a formal request, let them address your request, because they are paid to do that. then let it be addressed in a way that we, all of us, are objective, trying to add value to the process. But when you cannot do that, and then you go to the media, or social media for that case, and then you shout, castigate them, you see, they don't have that time. The worst is, as much as they won't answer you on social media platform, you have misled a big chunk of our citizens. Yes. So if really there are issues, which I totally agree, we are not dealing with a perfect situation. It will never exist. But look at what it is. For what it actually is, we have 20 days to election, right? There's very little changes that can take place that are objective at the moment. It is for us to come together and see, okay, how bad exactly is this situation, and is it truly that bad, or these are just hearsays? And you don't do that in the public. You do that by facing the commission.
All right, Gibson, thank you for joining us this morning. And we are just starting this conversation, by the way, and talking about the state of preparedness for the August polls. We started by looking at the commission and issues that have been raised just a few days to the August polls. Just the other day, they had a media roundtable, and I believe you had what was discussed there that left us with more questions than what we had anticipated getting answers. What concerns you most about the preparedness of the commission to conduct this election?
Thank you, sir, for welcoming me. I'm sorry I'm late. I was supposed to be here 10 minutes ago, but it's Nairobi and the traffic. For me, I think IBC, the more they speak, the more they raise the issue, the more concern from Kenyans, because there's that aspect of this person is supposed to be the umpire, but doesn't seem to be in control of his show. The more he speaks, you realize that he's actually not prepared enough, because I think at one juncture what shocked me most, you've asked, is the aspect that there seems to be no coordination between the secretariat and the chairman, because at one point you find somebody was being asked, you are aware that the ballot papers have been received at JKI, and he's like, they seemed not to be aware. But they had to brush off the question by saying that, that's dealt by another department. What other core business could IBC be doing that some of the officials at the top level could not be aware that they are receiving papers? I mean, it could be something else, but I honestly thought that is a bit shocking, that they can be doing what in law sometimes we call Chinese wall separation, whereby whatever is happening in this department, the other department cannot be aware. That not being the case, then again, another big issue has come now, where yesterday, as I think you are aware, that the court, through the Kigame, Ruben Kigame, did direct that he was supposed to be in the ballot, and they should actually put him in the ballot. I haven't quite heard what IBC has said in that regard, but I think that also adds to their problems, given that earlier there was that also another good direction that whatever criteria they used to put aside the other candidates from the presidential ballot was unfair. So I think that is the backdrop under which Kigame went to court, and the court, of course, found in his favor.
All right.
These other people can also come, the likes of Nyambane, the likes of Jimmy Wanjigi, depending on a case per case. Whoever thinks he has a case to make, they can come, and we are literally 20 days to
the election,
and people are still in court trying to have themselves in the ballot.
Yeah. And we'll get to that in just a bit, but yes. I just want you to also comment on something that was said earlier by Mr. Liala. There are complaints, there are issues that have been raised, but he says that the manner in which the people who are complaining are going about it is what he's reading malice into, right? if I got you right, that there are certain channels that are laid out there that if you have a complaint against IEBC, you can be able to take advantage of. What do you think about this? In these campaign rallies, declarations of what IEBC is not doing right, going to the media, calling a press conference and saying IEBC is not doing this and that. Are we doing that a lot as a country, not probably going through the right mechanisms?
I think what I can say about that is the fact that I think I got him. What he was trying to say is the aspect that whoever has an issue, let them channel their issue directly to the IBC and let it be processed. But of course, that is the best way and the formal way of doing it. But there are other challenges which, when they are raised, you need to also come out and handle them head on when they have been raised, because you cannot you cannot be the proverbial which buries its head in the sand when there are problems. So these problems need to be handled. So ABC also needs to invest in a media communication department which should be addressing these issues as they come by. Because if a front runner in a presidential race raises some key issues, you can't just keep quiet. That, yes, we have not received any form of complaint. You got to go there and say, assure the public, because you are assuring the public. This person is talking to the public. You need to buy the trust of these people. So as long as you not assuage the public that, what is being said that is not correct or the position is this one, then you leave them. When these things pile up, Kenyans are such a distrusting lot. So when you give them a reason to distrust you, they will actually invest in that. So IBC needs to come and vindicate itself at every juncture. They need to be as clean as whose wife? Caesar's wife.
20 days to the election,
Yes.
though. That's really something that they really have to step up on. But let me just, how then should they take advantage of these 20 days remaining? There are court cases here. There are complaints being raised here, whether formal or through media or social media. That is another subject altogether. Plus, they have this big mandate of steering the country towards an election that is so crucial. What should IBC do with this little time and so much left for them to handle?
Thank you, Safin. As I answer that question, actually, I put myself right in the shoe of Chebukati. I don't see what that man is doing that is wrong. You cannot answer everybody, as opposed to what Wakili is saying here. Because the only way Chebukati is finishing this race in an unquestionable way is for him to stick to what is right in the rule. As long as he's going to play into the social media platform and all that, he will get it wrong. He stick to what is right, and he goes it that way, because that job is not easy. I want to imagine it is me there in my family and the heat that comes with all that he's doing. Actually, if I were him, I'll continue doing what he's doing, because all Kenyans know that he is chairing an independent commission. And any Kenyan has a right to access any information from him directly. You cannot compete with politicians. I can tell you, I can outdone Chebukati on a platform as a politician, because I just need to be a little bit stupid. He's a civil servant. He tried being stupid like me, his conduct will be in question. So I think he's doing what is right. Let him stick to what is in the book and proceed. Whoever has any complaint, let them know that these guys are trying to do their best. A situation like what happened yesterday, but one with my good mentor Ruben Kigame, it is okay. And Chebukati and his team will have to find a way of making it right. Yes, because it is being pronounced by the court. And it should not be an issue to cause some, rumors and all. Even if the ballot paper for Ruben Kigame will read Ruben Kigame alone and served to Kenyans as Ruben Kigame, I know there must be a way that IBC is going to have to walk and work around it, that it will suffice legally.
So I don't
want to ask you how that is going to be captured.
There are ways. I know these guys are intelligent, they are forthright, they are committed and dedicated. Let's not make Kenyans believe that IBC is not doing a good job, honestly.
All right, we're coming back to continue this conversation. But remember, I told you earlier, we are also following up some events that are happening in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and other parts of the country. And right about now, just to link up with one of those at Movenpick Hotel, currently ongoing is the launch of the standard operations procedures for border management. We have our very own Kamche Menza attending this particular event for us. Anytime from now, we will be linking up with her to just get a glimpse of what is happening. All right, so let's just cross over. I understand that it's underway already. Let's just cross over there. The chief guest at this event is the Regional Commissioner for Nairobi, Kang'ethe Thuku. Let's go there and listen into some of the deliberations coming forth from this particular event.
The Manche, it's a French wonder. The DG Coast Guard, Brigadier Naisho, Mr. Mate Jankin, Border Force International from the British High Commission, my brother, again from another mother, Mr. Nyayo. And let me say that we were together in the field, and I knew that he's very, very capable. Our consultant, Mr. Enlo Africa, Director Border Control, Madam Pamela Otenyo, BCOCC principals who are here, all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name's Kang'ethe Thuku, the Regional Commissioner of Nairobi, and I don't know why I was picked to come and really preside over this very, very important function, but I probably know, I can guess because I worked in Harambee House. I was actually deputized in the PS, and I remember working with Nyayo in this area. And we even visited Nogales. Is this called Nogales? Nogales is a border town between the USA and Mexico. We went to benchmark on issues of security, of course, on the issues of border management with a bias towards security. And we really learned a lot. What you're calling, an ideal border management. I also want to say this. In Kenya, of course, through my experience, I've been an administrator for 33 years. I've worked in these border areas. I've worked in Marsabit, in Tana River, name them. And one of the multiple challenges we used to face through unguarded and managed borders and all that, we have suffered the issues of human trafficking. And for me, this is just emphasis because they've been mentioned. I think we need to mention them more and more again. Of course, a lot of loss of revenue, illegal immigration, and therefore, when you're talking about coordinated border management, this is a very big achievement for our country. I'm here today on behalf of the chairman of the BCOCC, who is also the PS, Interior and Citizen Services. He's my boss, and he's my supervisor. So today I'm here to do two things. One is to read his speech. Number two is to preside over the unveiling of the SOPs, and of course number 3 is also to preside over the handover, and it's really a good job, taking the limelight for the work which has been done so graciously, and I really have a lot of heckle for all those people who are involved. It has been said, this is not, Chiva's achievement, and to me, I want to say the heckle to all of you who are involved, including our partners, the technical team, the leadership of Nyayo and the Secretariat, and above all, the leadership of our CS, the able leadership of our CS and the PS, because without them, we would not have even achieved this. So allow me to read the speech as my first function today. I'll start by saying, Hamjambo. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to join you today for the launch of the standard operating procedures for Kenya point of entry and exit. Allow me to reiterate that this is a momentous step for Kenya, one that is going to have a big impact on how we travel, invest in security measures, and conduct business with our neighbors and other countries globally. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, since the inception of the coordinated border management, our border officials have been conducting joint operations without comprehensive tool or guiding tool. To remedy this situation, a guide with modern and innovative means of border management had to be developed. It's on this note that the BCOCC and the International Office of Migration partnered and formed a technical working group. The IOM also onboarded Mr. Eloy Africa, an experienced consultant in border management, to help in the development of the study operating procedures. And I really liked your explanation. And the issue of sequencing, to ensure that before you go to the next, you have taken care of the first. The formulation process that's kicked off with the formulation process that's kicked off with a 2-day inception and consultation workshop in Naivasha, and was later followed by validation and review forums. All these exercises were conducted to ensure that the final document will be exhaustive, precise, clearly capture the operational needs of all Kenya's point of entry and exit, which include sea, air, and land. But why do we need SOPs? Ladies and gentlemen, this up-to-date policy-backed, innovative, and technology-centered standard operating procedures will guide in the coordination of operation and information and resource sharing among border agencies. This will ultimately enhance efficiency and effectiveness of our border security and help in the continued promotion of legitimate trade and travel. Moreover, both Kenyan citizens and foreigners can expect a more streamlined process when entering and exiting the country. This will include faster processing times as well as improvement of security at our points of entry and exit. The SOPs have also been formulated in a manner that will build upon better cooperation and collaboration between border agencies. All these calculated moves will be a boost for the whole of government stroke multi-agency approach, and I want to laud this government. And I agree with my sister here. We used to have those silo mentality of saying this is my turf, and therefore we ended up, creating a lot of mess. But and this is now becoming a Kenyan policy that we have to work together as a team to achieve the greater good. Moreover, the SOPs would address existing operational challenges and lead into the adoption of global best practices. Additionally, I'm delighted that the development process was a participatory and consultative process. This collaboration saw the technical working group ensure that the SOPs will promote and safeguard integrity and harmony in the performance of border controls. Ladies and gentlemen, duty, honor, and country. I'm glad that like me, you have all adopted these hallowed words as your mantra when executing your respective mandates as servant of our people. The ones reverently dictate what Kenya ought to be, which simply put is the yardstick for border management globally. Our efforts should be geared towards continuation of this innovative and collaborative trajectory. This is to ensure that we onboard more partners and continue having international outlook on the border management. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to thank our ever reliable partners, the International Organization for Migration. We appreciate the resources that the IOM invested in the development of standard operating procedures. These resources include funding, the inception, review, and validation workshops, and excursions to various border points to collect views and data from officials stationed there. I thank members of the technical working group for their time and input in development of standard operating procedures and for the ensuring that SOPs are in line with the relevant registrations, prescripts, and objectives of BCOCC. I also extend appreciation for the Border Management Secretariat for the seamless organization and for ensuring that all pieces fell into place. The Secretariat will, after this launch, coordinate sensitization of all officers working at our border.
All right, so that is an event that is currently underway, the launch of the standard operating procedures. And of course, this is happening at Movenpick Hotel right here in Nairobi. The procedures are for border management. Speaking there is the chief guest, the regional commissioner for Nairobi, I beg your pardon, Kang'ethe Thuku. We have our very own Kamche Menza attending this launch for us. We'll be giving you more details about it in our day's coverage. But in studio, just 20 days to the August polls, we are assessing the state of preparedness of the country to go for this election. And I'm having a panel of two gentlemen. This is a panel of two gentlemen. Gibson Gisore, a lawyer and political analyst, and engineer Ruben Liala. He is a member of parliament, candidate for Mathare constituency. Thank you for creating time for us once again. So before we were following up on the event there, we were talking about the preparedness of the commission, which is the referee in this election, and divided opinions were shared concerning whether they should be put on the spot to answer to every query, every issue, every concern that is being raised, or they should focus on their key mandate, that is to deliver this election for Kenyans. And I just like to, pick up on that point, Gibson. And we all agree that weighty issues have been raised, and the commission ought to go into this election after having assured all Kenyans that they actually got this going and they're in charge of this. What would you tell the commission in terms of how to manage the crisis? Because I understand also where engineer is coming from. Time is not a luxury that the commission can afford to be answering to every Kenyan and every person who is raising any issue. But then how should they manage the crisis at this point?
I think the best for Chebukati and team is actually to have a project management team and a very good communication team. I think that is how the best I can advise them, because they could not be experts. They could not be experts in managing everything. Let them have select panel committees or even hire experts who can be able to help them communicate better, against what engineer seems to be saying, that they shouldn't answer anything at all. They should just keep quiet and prepare for an election. They might actually be preparing a fire instead of an election. Because Kenyans want answers. Those guys have been entrusted with a lot of money. we want to see them perform to the level of the expectations of Kenyans. When we ask for some answers from IBC, we expect them to come and tell us, you see, what your concerns, these are the answers 1, 2, 3, as opposed to what maybe so and so or candidate so and so is saying 1, 2. You know, that makes me rest easy that, you know, these are rumors. You need to clear the rumors. But you can't say those are rumors and it's in your head that those are rumors. You need to clear the other people that those are rumors. It's not our story. Once the Kenyans are assured of that, then they are able to go and vote confidently. That, you know, the person we have is somebody who is credible, somebody who we feel there is a mistake can be able to answer us back. But you cannot say that now we are preparing for an election, we're not answering anything. You just wait, we go vote, and then you go home. You go home and wait, we tell you what.
That's what you were saying,
I beg to have the right to answer.
You will answer after I'm done.
Is that what you were saying, really?
After that, then they need to also invest in, that is on the part of communication. The part of management of the election, they need to be very well organized when they need to have very well trained project management, because election is a project and a project needs to be handled in a competent way. You cannot assume that just because somebody was elected commissioner at IBC is a manager. So some of those people were working elsewhere, so you need to get synergies and train the level managers very well to a level that whatever mistake or problem which is likely to happen, of course they know Chebukati is a seasoned guy at the IBC. I never expected him to last this long, but he has. It means he has gotten the experience he needs. So he needs to put his team together and ensure that they do that which is required of them, because they already know the problems and the mistakes. And some of the mistakes are already being highlighted in the media, which my friend is saying he shouldn't concentrate on those. He should actually concentrate on those and ensure that they make a foolproof system which people will not be raising questions after, because his answers will expect them after.
Am I really going to answer you?
At this rate, and unfortunately, I'll give you a chance to respond, but after this, I'm informed we just have to catch up something very quickly. This is an event also currently underway. It's a political parties book launch that is going to go a long way in informing the country's political landscape. It's called the Kenya's Political Education Source Book, currently happening at Safari Park Hotel. Let's link up with that and then we come back and pick up on our conversation.
That were not introduced. Yes, I can see Veronica Maina from United Democratic Alliance, UDA. Let's clap for her. Thank you, Veronica Maina. Do I see anybody else? Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Registrar. My name is Dr. Ojiambo from Azimio Labour Party of Kenya.
Azimio
Labour Party of Kenya.
That one is it registered? Regarding Mr. Okay, it is Labour Party, a member of Coalition Azimio.
Labour Party of Kenya.
Thank you very much. Labour Party of Kenya, a member of Azimio One Kenya Alliance Coalition Party. Thank you very much. I know all parties, so I was wondering which is this new one. But thank you for that. Another Azimio coalition, a party called PPD, Party of Peace and Development. Thank you. Representing Green Congress, Party of Kenya. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Mr. Bogwa, Jubilee Party, the ruling party. We have another one. PDP, thank you, Kwabuka. What? Ukweli Party, Secretary General of Ukweli Party. Thank you so much, political parties. We are because you are, and we recognize that fact. I want to say the purpose and NDI, you are aware when I was recognizing our supporters. Thank you so much for supporting us. As it has been elaborated very well by Mr. Ari, we are here to launch the first sourcebook on political education. And I think he has explained what is contained in that sourcebook. But why the sourcebook? The Office of Registrar of Political Parties has always been concerned the manner in which Kenyans look at political parties and political processes, especially the ones that touches on political parties. And the political class, the people who participate in the electoral process as politicians. We are usually concerned.
All right, so that is Andy Ritu, the Registrar of Political Parties, there at a launch of the Kenya's Political Education Sourcebook at a Safari Park right here in Nairobi. Ruth Wamboi will be giving us more details about this book and the event today as we continue with our day's coverage. But in studio, we have been talking about the road to the August polls. And just to bring in my guests onto this, before we continue with our point we wanted to pick up earlier, now we have a very own first source book, the Kenya Political Education Source Book, that is being launched today. From where you sit, what is the key highlight of this? Just 20 days to the election, having such a resource, and what will it change in our electoral process going forward, in your assessment?
Thank you. First, let's not mislead the Kenyans that with the election, then things should stop. Election is a process. Kenyan life has to go on, and everything has to proceed. What the ORPP is doing there actually is a result of an engagement between her office and the political parties for the last 5 years. So most of the political party leadership that is there is a lot that has been actually taken through the whole technicality, legal expectation, the time frame, the schedules that we are supposed to operate under as parties. And it is the same that we use to actually train our candidates and our members. So it is just a resource that is going to be in our libraries, something that we can refer to even as we better our democracy in the country. And I don't see anything wrong in that happening now, even if it is 20 days to the election, because this is a process to make our politics, our way of debating, handling election better. Yes, so I see totally nothing wrong, even with the timing. About what Wakili was saying, actually, Wakili was way off my remark. Completely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Concerning
what he
the
referred to,
yes,
concerned the commissioner. It's not my school of thought at all. What I said is this. First of all, your question again was misleading him, because you asked how can we handle this crisis? The crisis is in the minds of people like Wakili. There is no crisis whatsoever to IBC.
The issues being raised.
The issues that are being raised. Now this is where I have a bone to chew with those who think there is crisis. If you truly you are a Kenyan, na wewe ni mzalendo, why can't you put this formally so that you go for what is the result? Why do you want to talk to Chebukati in a rally on social media? I mean, Your interest is not even to get the answers, because you know very well Chebukati with his schedule, he's not gonna look at what you're even writing there. It's just rumors and rumors and rumors, and we are destroying our systems, ourselves. If truly it is something that needs to be addressed, Wakili is cool. He knows how to handle this. How hard is it for him to just walk into that office, put his request formally, wait for 7 days for replies? Yes, and I still insist, whatever Chebukati and IBC and the whole team are doing, I support. I would stand by it anytime, because IBC has worked with political parties for the last 4 years. If we had complaints, did we have to wait 20 days too?
Good question, Wakili.
Let me
he's reading malice on how these complaints are being, brought out.
When he's saying, but let me just respond to
why can't the people who are complaining just face IEBC and formally lodge their complaints?
The first thing, it does not work at IBC, so I don't think you should be defending them that strongly.
I'm just a good Kenyan who really appreciate when my fellow Kenyan is pushing to the right direction.
Yes, you should not be defending them because you don't know what is happening. Petitions they receive.
I think otherwise. You shouldn't castigate them either.
Petitions they receive, I'm sure they receive, and they respond to whoever it is. But when also issues come to the public for, you need to also deal with them publicly. Whatever has been done in private, that will be handled in private. I'm sure they answer whoever it is who shows up there. They tell him this is the position. But what of issues which have been brought to the public of public concern? The issues of public opinion. I raised the issue of them being as clean as Caesar's wife. That is what they are. That is the pedestal. Because you cannot start, because rumors are part of our society. Of course, the people raising the concerns could be misguided, could be having their own misgivings in terms of the whole aspect. But then, what is so hard to just say, whatever that document going around social media, it's not true. That's all they need to say.
Okay.
And once that is done, that will be the case. Let me just defend myself about what he's saying. So that's on the first bit. On the second bit, IBC is a public body receiving public money, a lot of resources. Actually, even some more than other government departments. So they need to be held to a higher pedestal. They are dealing in a trust deficient society. They are supposed to be trusted. You cannot trust them when allegations are going by and they're not vindicating themselves. And you know where we have been as a country. As a politician, I will expect you to be even holding them to a higher pedestal, because at the end of the day, you will be looking for me to, after you have lost your election in an unfair manner, you will be looking for me to, again, sue IBC. Sue IBC. So if you are supporting them strongly this time, I'm sure, if it's not you, unless you are planning to go and rig and you're investing them.
We'll leave it at that.
But it doesn't look like somebody who can rig.
Wakili is really overstepping.
I wish we
it doesn't
had more
look
time.
like somebody who can rig.
But Wakili is really overstepping.
Allow me now. Allow me give you some guidance on this now. Can you imagine that we've just, spoken about the commission alone, and the election preparedness touches on all other players in the election. I hope in the near future we'll have time also to talk about the state of preparedness of the electorate and even the political candidates who are vying in this election, yourself, engineer included. But unfortunately, that's all the time we had. And I'd like to give you both a chance to have your final say on this. So going forward, what is it that you think should be the priority areas for the commission now, that because we have talked about the commission only, going forward with the remaining days as we close this conversation?
My remarks, my final remarks will go to my fellow citizens. Number one, things could be wrong, rightfully so.
They are.
And my thoughts will be, we don't need to operate in this void of rumors. If there is actually an issue, like say he puts it, there are those people who will be going for petition after that. That is a formal approach to solving a problem, and we are a law-abiding country, and I support. But if you're coming up with rumors and you expect an institution like IBC to continue addressing you, engaging you informally throughout, I mean, even the resources and the money that Wakili has kept on mentioning, I don't know where that would hold our country to. Because resources are there for this institution to work. They are not going to any individual's pocket, and they are there for the specific jobs. So the fact that IBC is funded does not mean that you are going to look at them like lesser citizens in this country. Respect them, approach them in the rightful manner. They will answer your question. And if one day I ever sit there, I will not engage anybody in social media. I'll go do my job and go back home. I want to actually commend IBC and what they are doing, unless somebody will come up and show me this is wrong and this is how I chose to address IBC.
Well said, Engineer. Gibson, your final word.
So mine is to just encourage Kenyans that this is a very interesting moment. This election is going to be a decider of where we move for the next 5 years. It's important that the person overseeing this election be a person whom we trust, a person who is accountable. Social accountability also demands that, of course, whoever it is that is going to oversee the election is to be accountable in terms of whatever it is that has been said, to come clean and explain that this is what is happening. And other than that, I've already talked about the issue of them managing the election properly by maybe procuring services of project managers so that they ensure that the election is clean, properly conducted, to avoid issues after election.
Okay, Gibson Gisore, a lawyer and political analyst. Also this morning I was having a sit down with Engineer Ruben Liala. He is a member of parliament candidate for Mathare constituency right here in Nairobi, as we are looking at the country's preparedness for the August polls. Only talked about the commission and some of the issues raised and how they ought to have, or they should address those issues. Going forward, we do hope that we'll have an opportunity to pick this conversation and move it forward. My name is Safin Achieng Ouma. Really appreciate your time as I hand you over to the Swahili team, Fota Mrini and Kurunzi Mashinani. Keep watching KBC Channel 1.
Generation inakuja ni sisi tunalidi nchi.
Justina Wangui wa Mae, Root Party of Kenya.
Ukiitwa deputy itika.
Martha Wangari Karua, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party.
Tungetaka tuseme Wakenya wameamua.
Rigathi Gachagua, UDA.
We are coming to bring in change.
Ruth Wambui Musheru, Agano Party. Battle of the Deputies. The Deputy Presidential Debate live on the 19th July 2022, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Beatrice Chepkoech, the fastest woman in the world, becomes the world champion here in Doha.
The World Athletics Championships is being hosted in Oregon, in the United States of America, for the first time ever from 15th to 24th of July 2022. An estimated 2,000 base track and field athletes representing more than 200 nations will come together in a celebration of diversity, human potential, and athletic achievement. Short races are not the only attractions. Marathon, magnificent throws.
Is it going to be long enough? Oh, it's a huge throw.
And outstanding jumps among other disciplines is expected as well. Although an immense task awaits them, our own Team Kenya is adequately represented by resolute athletes ready to liven up Hayward Field at the University of Oregon.
What a race! What heart! Oh my goodness me! So close!
Don't miss a single glorious moment, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
I know that is all. Protect your life if you wanna know. No, you them for them. We call them the weathermen.
On fire, Babylon daily. Why we afraid of you when you feel protect me? Can't trust a system we designed to fail me.
People of the country, nobody grind like we get far. We blind now, we just can't feel. Oh, I'm living a dream, yeah.
We shall legalize weed.
Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya of the Roots Party. Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party.
Unajua mimi sina pesa ya serikali ama ya kashfa.
David Mwaure Wahiga of the Agano Party. And
hakuna kura ya hasla mtaiba.
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Presidential Debate 2022. Do not adjust your sets.
Ahlan wa sahlan mpenzi mtazamaji, ni tarehe 19 mwezi wa 7 mwaka 2022, wakati mwingine mwafaka wa kuungana nawe kuletea taarifa za kurunzi mashinani. Mimi ni Khalid Abdullahi, karibu tuandamane hadi tamati. Kumbuka unaweza kutupata pia kwenye mtandao wa kijamii, ukurasa wa Facebook ni @KBC Channel 1, kule Twitter ni @KBC Channel 1, ni kwangu ni @Khalid Abdullahi. Karibu. Gharama ya kuzalisha kilo moja ya kahawa inaongezeka maradufu kutokana na ongezeko la bei ya pembejeo na mafuta. Mwenyekiti wa chama cha wakuza kahawa Peter Kigonyo amesema hatua hii imewanyima wakulima wa kahawa humo nchini mapato bora ya kahawa kutokana na bei ya juu zao la kahawa kwenye soko la kimataifa.
Ona ni inawezekana mkulima akuwe akipata bei mzuri ya kahawa ama akuwe akifaidika kwa biashara ya kahawa. Kuna vile mkulima lazima mwenyewe ahusike katika hii biashara ya kahawa. Mwanzo kabisa ni vile analima kahawa yake kulingana na utaratibu unao kubalika, ili nayo aweze kupata zile soko mzuri kule upande ya nje.
Because we also realize that, for example, about 50% of the coffee produced here in Kenya goes to the European market. So we also need to work with our partners in the European market and really make this a success.
Na mtazamaji, leo katika makala yetu kuhusu Ifahamu China tunaangazia mchango wa China katika kuboresha na kutunza uchumi wa dijitali duniani, hususan barani Afrika.
Jukwaa hayo ni lile lililoanzishwa na wafanyabiashara wa China ambalo lina soko la zaidi ya 50% katika ukanda wa Afrika Mashariki, likijumuisha idadi ya karibu watu milioni 300 na watumiaji zaidi ya milioni 10.
Takriban 80% ya bidhaa zetu kwenye jukwaa kwa sasa hazipatikani kwa watu wa Afrika nje ya mtandao. Hivyo hii inaweza kuboresha pakubwa ubora wa maisha ya watu wa Afrika.
Katika kipindi cha miaka 8 iliyopita, jukwaa la biashara ya mtandaoni limeunda fursa za ajira kwa vijana wengi wa Kiafrika. China imekuwa mchangiaji mkubwa katika ukuzaji wa uchumi wa kidijitali wa Afrika kama sehemu ya mpango wa ukanda mmoja njia moja.
Katika miaka hivi karibuni, China na Afrika zimeshiriki kikamilifu katika ushirikiano wa kiuchumi wa kidijitali na maendeleo ya ukanda mmoja na njia moja. China, ikiwa kinara wa matumizi ya mtandao duniani, itatoa uzoefu na msaada wa kiufundi kwa Afrika katika maendeleo ya uchumi wa dijitali kwenye sekta za ushirikiano wa kielektroniki, miundo ya kidijitali na malipo ya simu, ili kusaidia kikamilifu nchi za Afrika kupunguza pengo la kidijitali na kuambatana na kasi ya uchumi wa kimataifa wa kidijitali.
Mwaka 2019, idadi ya watumiaji wa biashara ya mtandaoni barani Afrika iliongezeka hadi milioni 233, na ifikapo mwaka 2024, idadi hiyo inatarajiwa kuongezeka hadi milioni 478. Wakati huo huo, janga la COVID-19 limeongeza kasi ya mabadiliko katika tabia ya ununuzi ya watumiaji. Nchini Nigeria, yenye idadi kubwa zaidi ya watu barani Afrika, makampuni ya China yamesaidia kujenga na kuendeleza uchumi wa kidijitali kwa njia mbalimbali ili kusaidia kuleta maendeleo ya haraka. Uboreshaji wa miundombinu ya mtandao, vipaji kwenye viwanda, kuibuka kwa ubunifu wa ndani na wajasiriamali vimeifanya Nigeria kuwa na utendaji bora katika maendeleo ya uchumi wa kidijitali barani Afrika. Venture Capital Park ni biashara mpya ya mtandaoni mjini Abuja, Nigeria. Pia ni biashara mpya ya aina yake hapa Abuja. Imo Inyan, ambaye amefanya kazi hapa tangu mwaka 2017, husaidia kampuni mpya kuunda tovuti na programu ili kubadilisha mawazo yao kuwa biashara ya mtandaoni. Anasema Nigeria imekuwa na ongezeko la wajasiriamali katika miaka ya hivi karibuni.
I think for the last 2 years, a lot of people are...
Nadhani kwa miaka miwili iliyopita, watu wengi wanajaribu aina hii ya biashara. Wengine wanaacha kazi zao ili waweze kuanzisha biashara. Kwa hivyo ninachofikiria ni kwamba mtindo huu unaendelea kukua na tutakuwa na watu wengi zaidi.
Ada nafuu na hali nzuri ya ujasiriamali imevutia zaidi ya kampuni 90 kuanzisha operesheni katika eneo la Capital Park, ambapo sio tu wanapunguziwa kodi, lakini pia inawekeza kusaidia kuendeleza biashara zao.
Teachers are able to get access to quality teaching resources.
Walimu wanaweza kupata nyenzo bora za kufundisha na pia wanaweza kupata mapato ya ziada kwa kufunza wanafunzi.
Katika miaka iliyopita, makampuni ya China yameshiriki katika ujenzi na maendeleo ya uchumi wa kidijitali wa Nigeria kwa njia nyingi.
Mwaka 2019 tulialika makampuni mengi mashuhuri ya Nigeria kufanya mabadilishano na makampuni ya China. Kwa ujumla wanakaribisha mitaji na teknolojia ya kampuni za China. Pili, wanatarajia kuwa na uhusiano wa karibu zaidi na soko la China kupitia makampuni ya China.
Kulingana na ofisi ya takwimu ya Nigeria, sekta ya teknolojia ya habari na mawasiliano ndiyo iliyokuwa kwa kasi zaidi nchini humo mwaka 2020.
China, as you know, is helping African countries.
China, kama unavyojua, inazisaidia nchi za Afrika kuwezesha uwezo wake wa kidijitali. Hadi sasa kuna zaidi ya makampuni 1500 katika miji 17 na nchi 15 za Afrika ambazo zimechagua washirika wa makampuni ya China. Hilo ni muhimu.
Digital transformation partners, and that is critical.
Na tukiachana na makala hayo, na sasa nataka nikupeleke moja kwa moja katika jumba ama hoteli la Safari Park, ambapo aliyekuwa mwanasheria mkuu Githu Muigai sasa hivi anaongea kuhusiana na uzinduzi wa kuzinduliwa kwa baadhi ya usajili wa vyama vya kisiasa, na ambapo naarifu kuwa msajili wa vyama vya kisiasa Anderito pia yuko katika ukumbi hiyo. Tupate kusikia.
Is such an important institution given our history
And I can tell you this because there are many young people in this room, and I get very concerned sometimes, especially through this season. I have met young people who have told me, I don't know whether I want to vote. And all I have said to them is, I have voted every time since I was 18, and I always didn't vote for the candidate who won, but I am still voting. If at 35 you have no reason to vote, then my generation must take responsibility for not bringing you up in the correct way. Voting is everything. Voting is everything. If you don't vote, then you are saying, I don't care. And if I don't care, then one day you really, really will care. Like management gurus teach us, if you don't plan, you have planned. You have planned for failure. In the old days, the election was carried out from the Attorney General's office. Can you believe that? The election was carried out from the Attorney General's office. There was an officer there called the Director of Elections. Initially, he was a man called Mr. Montgomery. After he left, I think it was a Mr. Nyarongo or Nyarangi. Nyarongo or Nyarangi. To come from that situation 50 years ago, where Montgomery is not conducting the election, it is being conducted by the PC, the DC, and the DO on his behalf. Is it possible to say we have not made progress? We have. Yet, because we have made so much progress, we must be so vigilant not to slide back and lose the institutions we have made. That is why I was very privileged when I was asked to come and help to launch the political education sourcebook and other training materials, because I thought that this is one way that we will continue the struggle to strengthen the political party. I know we keep saying the family is the most important unit of the society. The political party is the most important unit of the political system. And we must strengthen it and protect it the same way we seek to protect the family as the most important center of our social life. We've come a long way with political parties. I was joking with the registrar earlier. I come from Kiambu, and no matter which direction you choose to head towards Kiambu, you will very quickly discover that every home has their own church, plus or minus. I challenge you to take the route to Banana Hill in that direction, and you will find not less than 70 churches in a 70-mile, in a 10-mile radius. And when I was the Attorney of the Republic, I thought that we should do something about it, and the rest is history. So I do not know whether we need to do something about the number of political parties that we have, so that we consolidate them and make them more effective, more vibrant. In Nigeria, a country slightly different from ours, but sometimes visited by the same challenges as ourselves, I think when the political parties reached 900 or thereabouts, in the new constitution they said there will only be 3 political parties, and they put them in the constitution. So you weigh your politics and find the one closest to you and get into it. I don't think we want to do that in Kenya, but I think it is important that we should have a consolidation process. I know that is happening through the coalitions. And I think it is great brilliance on your part that you are able to recognize that if we do not accommodate coalitions, we encourage further fragmentation, and our politics would be more shambolic without the coalitions. So I think that you have done a very, very good thing by allowing that. I think the management of the political parties fund is an important issue. Needless to say, money and politics make very, very bad bedfellows, and therefore all over the world there is a concern about how money and politics are regulated, and we haven't yet reached there here. We haven't the political consensus around it, but I am happy to know that you are concerned about a framework around that issue, and going forward we will be seeing some action. Last but not least, the media. I was live on the ground in 2007, 2008, and the aftermath, and made my way all the way to The Hague. And I can tell you this, as a person who had a ringside view on history, we must be very careful what we transmit by radio, by television, by social media, and so on. Because when the dominoes begin to fall, it is very, very difficult to put the country back. I get very concerned when the media elite begin to delegitimize state institutions. And you delegitimize state institutions by slowly beginning to create a doubt, not on evidence, but on hearsay, that is it possible that the registrar of political parties is not acting in a neutral manner, and then the narrative begins. And then you go to IEBC, then you go to the Political Parties Tribunal, you say most of the clerks come from Kiambu, and so on and so forth. These are very dangerous steps in the wrong direction. We must have some measure of trust in public institutions. We must trust judges. We cannot have a situation where we delegitimize the judiciary ahead of the contest. So it is my very
Naam, huyo mtazamaji alikuwa ni aliyekuwa mwanasheria mkuu Githu Muigai akiongea tu katika hafla hiyo uzinduzi kuhusu utaratibu wa uchaguzi hususan kwa vyama vya kisiasa. Ni taarifa ambayo mwenzangu Ruth Wamboi amelivalia njuga na atatuletea hapo baadaye. Tukisonga mbele, wakulima na wauzaji miraa katika eneo la Nyambene, kaunti ya Meru, wana kila sababu ya kutabasamu baada ya serikali za Kenya na Somalia kusaini mkataba ambao utaashiria mauzo ya miraa katika soko la Somalia kuanzia wiki 2 zijazo. Mkataba huo mpya ulitiwa saini wakati wa ziara ya hivi majuzi ya rais mteule wa Somalia humo nchini Hassan Sheikh Mohamud.
Kwa mujibu wa mkataba huo, Kenya itauza miraa nchini Somalia, ilhali Somalia itauza samaki humu nchini. Mkataba huo pia unaashiria kurejelewa kwa safari za ndege kati ya Kenya na Somalia. Wakulima wa miraa pamoja na wauzaji wa zao hilo katika kaunti ya Meru wakiongozwa na mwenyekiti wa chama cha wakulima wa miraa cha Nyambene, Moses Lichoro, walisema kuna matumaini makubwa ya kuimarika kwa mapato yao baada ya kupata hasara kufuatia marufuku ya kuuza miraa nchini Uingereza, Uholanzi na Somalia. Wakulima hao walisema hatua hiyo itawapa fursa ya kujiongezea mapato ili kuimarisha maisha yao.
Kiwa na soko moja kama ya Somalia, ndio neno wakifunga wananchi wanateseka. Kwa hivyo kutufungulia nyingine ya DRC na Djibouti, tunaendelea mzuri. Djibouti wakifunga hii tunaendelea na nyingine.
Walitoa wito kwa serikali kujitolea kupanua soko la miraa, kwani kiwango cha uzalishaji zao hilo kimeongezeka. Beatrice Gatonyengetich, Kurunzi.
Na mtazamaji, halmashauri ya barabara za mashambani kwa ushirikiano na wadau wengine imezindua vituo tamba vya kupima uzani kwenye barabara mpya ya kutoka Kajiado kuelekea Imaro na Isara katika juhudi za kuwanasa malori ya kusafirisha mchanga yanayokiuka kanuni za uzani. Hii ni baada ya wakazi kulalamika kuhusu ongezeko la malori ya kusafirisha mchanga yanayokiuka kanuni hizo.
Halmashauri hiyo imeeleza wasiwasi kwamba hatua ya malori hayo kubeba mchanga wenye uzani uliopita viwango vilivyowekwa yataharibu barabara hiyo iliyojengwa hivi majuzi. Ni kutokana na hali hiyo ambapo halmashauri hiyo imeshirikiana na maafisa wa polisi kuanzisha vituo tamba vya kupima uzani kwa lengo la kuwanasa wanaokiuka kanuni za uzani unayohitajika. Afisa ushirikishi wa kamati ya usimamizi wa barabara hiyo amewahimiza maafisa wa usalama kushirikiana na asasi husika kuzuia uharibifu wa barabara hiyo. Aliwalaumu baadhi ya wafanyikazi walaghai wa serikali ya kaunti kwa kushirikiana na wenye malori wanaotoa hongo kwao ili kuwaruhusu kubeba mizigo iliyopita uzani uliowekwa.
Overloading ya magari which ni challenge sana. Inafanya maintenance team yetu iwe ngumu, of which imeleta shida mingi sana. Barabara inapasuka, kuna pothole mingi sana, of which imeleta shida sana. So tunaomba tu stakeholders, Weighbridge team, Kera, waingilie kati, hii barabara iundwe vizuri.
Wakazi wanasema licha ya baadhi ya wenye malori hayo kuchukuliwa hatua, ipo haja ya kuchukua hatua kali zaidi ili kuhifadhi barabara hiyo. Elvis Otieno, Kurunzi Mashinani.
Na mtazamaji, taarifa hiyo ndio tunakamilisha Kurunzi Mashinani siku ya leo. Usiende mbali kwani mwenzangu Gladys Mungai yuko studioni kukuletea tamrini Jumanne siku hii ya leo. Mimi ni Khalid Abdullahi. Shukran sana kwa wale wote waliofanikisha. Aliyenisaidia kwa lugha ya ishara ni Susan. Tuko kwa heri.
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
Generation inakuja ni sisi tunalidi nchi.
Justina Wangui wa Mae, Root Party of Kenya.
Ukiitwa deputy itika.
Martha Wangari Karua, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party.
Tungetaka tuseme Wakenya wameamua.
Rigathi Gachagua, UDA.
We are coming to bring in change.
Ruth Wambui Musheru, Agano Party. Battle of the Deputies. The Deputy Presidential Debate live on the 19th July 2022, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Dakta mpenzi mtazamaji, zimekatika dakika za kuhesabu baada ya saa 6 dhuhuri. Leo ikiwa ni siku ya Jumanne tarehe 19 mwezi wa Julai mwaka 2022, na ni fahari yangu tena kubwa sana kukuletea kipindi cha Tamrini siku na wasaa mwingine. Mimi nafahamika kama Gladys Mungai. Susan Thuku atakuwa ananisaidia kukupatia kipindi hiki kwa lugha ya ishara. Na hili mtazamaji, tutakuwa tunazungumza kuhusiana na makadirio, matarajio na masala yanayoibuka kuhusiana na uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2022. Kumbuka mtazamaji, imesalia siku 20 tu kabla ya wewe kutakikana kutekeleza wajibu wako wa kidemokrasia wa kupiga kura. Studioni ninaye mwaniaji wa kiti cha useneta katika kaunti ya Makueni, anafahamika kama Patrick Mbau. Karibu sana kwenye studio za KBC. Na mtazamaji, pia unaweza kusema nasi ama kushiriki katika kipindi hiki kwa kusema nasi kupitia mitandao yetu ya kijamii @KBC Channel 1 @Gladys Mungai, ndizo handle zetu katika ukurasa wa Twitter. Patrick, moja kwa moja tunapoanza mahojiano yetu hii leo, tuanze na swala la wawaniaji wa masala, wagombea wa vitu mbalimbali vya kisiasa kuwatuma watu kwenda kuwapiga wapinzani wao. Ni visa ambavyo vimeripotiwa hasa katika wiki iliyopita, na ikizingatiwa kwamba yamesalia majuma matatu. Wewe kama mwaniaji wa kiti kule katika eneo la Makueni, pengine swala hili umeliona vipi?
Asante sana kwanza Gladys kwa kunialika katika hii idhaa ya taifa tuweze kuchanganua maneno moja mbili kuhusu uchaguzi tunaosubiria. Na kujibu swali lako la fujo na watu kuwa incited ama kutumwa na wagombea kwenda kuzua taharufu na shida katika mikutano za watu wengine. Hiyo ni upotofu wa nidhamu, na katika nchi yenye inaamini na inaongozwa na sheria, nataka kusema maneno kama hayo tunayalaani na tunakataa. Tuseme kwa lazima tuwajibike kama wanasiasa, ndio tukue na hii nchi yenye iko na amani, kwa sababu bila amani hii nchi haimo. Na tunahitaji amani ndio uchumi wetu uendelee kukua, tusipatwe na yale tuliyopata mwaka wa 2007 penye tulikuwa na ghasia kila pande yote ya Kenya, uchumi ukadhoofika na watu wengi wakaenda kuwa wamepoteza makazi. Hilo hatutaki litokee huu mwaka, na ndio tunahimiza wale wote wanaongombea wajibike na wajue hii nchi ina maana sana na ina muhimu sana kushinda wao wenyewe.
Ndivyo, lakini kando na hivyo Patrick, tumeshuhudia kwamba vipo visa vya waniaji mbalimbali wa kisiasa kutaka vijana katika kambi yao kuzua vurugu katika mkutano wao na kulaani upande ule mwingine, upande pinzani, kwamba wao ndio wameleta vijana pengine kuzua vurugu katika eneo hilo. Na unafahamu kwamba wakati huu viongozi wanafaa kutoa ile taswira kwamba taifa lazima liungane na kuzungumza pengine kwa kampeni za amani, lakini iweje kwamba baadhi ya wanasiasa wanachochea zile vurugu wao wenyewe na kutaka pengine kulaumu wapinzani wao?
Kile waelewi ni kuwa hizo ni siasa zenye zimepitwa na wakati. Katika hii karne watu wengi sana hasa hapa nchi yetu ya Kenya, watu wengi wamesoma na watu wanaelewa mambo mingi sana. So mtu kuja kuanza kutumia tactics zenye zilitumika miaka ya karne iliyopita haina nafasi katika nchi yetu saa hizi. Na ndio tunahimiza kuwa kama ni kuleta fujo kwa mkutano ndio upate ile inaitwa sympathy, hiyo ni tactic yenye inatumika hapa na pale katika wanasiasa wenye hawana policy yenye wanauzia wananchi wa Kenya. Wanakuja na side shows, ndio hizo situmike wapate ile kitu inaitangwa sympathy katika votes. Tunaambia Wakenya wakuwe wamakinifu, wajue ni yupi yule mwenye yuongea ukweli, nani mwenye anataka kusababisha amani katika nchi yetu, na viongozi wenye wanafanya vitu kama hizo wanafaa watupiliwe bali kabisa, hawafai kupewa nafasi hata kidogo kuongoza ili nchi letu.
Unasema kwamba wananchi kwa sasa wamerevuka, na unaposema kwamba wananchi wamerevuka mara hii, zikiwa zimesalia siku chache tu kabla ya wananchi wa Kenya wakitakiwa kupiga kura katika debe, unafahamu kwamba wakati mwingine zipo dhana kwamba wananchi wanashurutishwa na wanasiasa, aidha kwa masuala ya fedha ama pengine kwa kuambiwa pengine tuwafanyia hivi mtupigie kura. Taswira huenda ikawa tofauti mara hii kwamba wananchi watamchagua kiongozi kutokana na zile policies ama manifesto zake na agenda zake na sera ambazo zinawahusu wananchi, na kwamba sio kushinikizwa tu kupitia masuala pengine ya pesa na hata favors hapa na pale.
Ile shida nao katika nchi yetu, tuko na wanarika wengi wenye hawako kazini. Tunasema our universities kila mwaka zina dispense thousands and thousands of graduates to the environment ya kazi, lakini environment yenyewe haina zile institutions za kutosha za kupatia vijana wetu kazi. Ndio manake nafasi kidogo ikitokea kupata ila kidogo pale, unajipata wamekuwa tempted kwenda kufanya zile ghasia simply because wamepata pesa kidogo na wanalipwa. Na tunasema kwa sababu kuna idara ya serikali zenye zitafanya upelelezi kujua ni lipi linalotokea, wakuwe makini kuangalia wanasiasa vile wenye wanafanya siku hizi huwezi jificha sana. Kuna teknolojia mingi sana kujua nani anafanya kazi ya gani na nani anachochea watu wafanye lipi. Kwa hivyo tunaomba hizo taasisi zenye zina jumuika na hiyo maeneo ya kuchunguza kama ile maneno ya hate speech na kuzua ghasia katika mikutano ya kisiasa, watu kama wafai kupewa nafasi katika uongozi nchi yetu ya Kenya. Sababu tunataka nchi yenye sisi zote tunajifunia kuwa wa Kenya, na nchi yenye kila mtu anapewa nafasi ya ku exercise ile democratic right yake, kuenda kusikiza sera za mwanasiasa yote yule, kwa sababu siasa ni kuuza sera. Na hiyo sera ndio watu wanafaa wapewe nafasi warisikize, ndio wajue ule kiongozi wanachagua ni kiongozi wa namna gani, kwa sababu hizo sera ndio zitakuja kufanya kuwe held accountable by the citizens, kama venye ulituambia wewe unafanya hiyo ulisema utafanya. Basi lakini ukichochea waende ulipe watu waende wasue ghasia katika mkutano ya watu wengine, hawatafuatilia nafasi ya kusikiza watu wengine. Sasa utapata wataenda kufanya uchaguzi bila kuwa na ile informed decision on who exactly is the best leader to be chosen on this coming election. Yeah. Asante sana kwa kauli hizo. Mtazamaji wapo basi ndo mwanzo unajiunga nasi, unatazama kipindi cha Tamrini ambapo tunaangazia uchaguzi wa mwaka 2020, na studioni tunaye Patrick Mbau ambaye ndiye mgeni wetu hii leo. Na Patrick, tukisonga mbele katika swala hili, tuangazie siasa za Azimio la Umoja. Nafahamu kwamba uko katika mrengo huu, na kuna swala ambalo wanasema zoning kila wakati katika maeneo mawili matatu, ambapo pengine baba amezuru katika maeneo ya Mombasa pia Nairobi, akaonekana kushika mkono mwaniaji mmoja, mgombea mmoja wa kiti cha kisiasa. Pengine katika eneo unalotokea kuna watu zaidi ya wawili, mko watatu hivi ambao mnapania kupata kiti cha useneta katika kaunti ya Makueni, na swala hilo la zoning ama pengine kumpa mtu ambaye anaonekana kuwa na umaarufu tiketi kwa kiasi kikubwa kupigania kitu hicho katika maeneo mbalimbali limechukuliwa kwa hisia mbalimbali na wanaogombea viti vya kisiasa. Pengine swala hili wewe kama mgombezi umelichukulia vipi? Kwa maono yangu ni kuwa kila mwania kiti ya urais anazingatia kuwa hawe na numbers katika mbunge zetu. Hiyo ni parliament na senate, kwa sababu unajua mbunge letu National Assembly ndiye inapitisha budget zote za national the executive, na ukiwa una numbers za kutosha katika mbunge utapata challenge kubwa sana ya kuendeza serikali yako. Ndio unaona upande wa Azimio ile wakati wanaongea maneno ya zoning, hawaongei sababu ya umbaya ama kukandamiza wagombeaji wenye wako milengo tofauti katika hiyo muungano wa Azimio. Basi nakuja wanakaa chini wanaangalia katika kaunti fulani, kama tuseme tuko na, unajua Azimio imeundwa kwa zaidi ya chama 20. Na hizi chama 20 zote mingi zao ziko na wawaniaji wa viti tofauti tofauti katika maeneo tofauti. Wanakuja wanajiuliza sasa, kama sisi kama Azimio tuko na watu wanaowania kama 10, useme kwa kiti ya useneti pande moja, alafu ule mlengo mwingine wenye ni wa Kenya Kwanza wako na kandidati mmoja, kumaanisha hao wetu watangawana kura wote na mmoja atakuja na wapatia advantage ule mlengo mwingine na yaweze kushinda. Ndio mlikuwa mnataka nyinyi wote mkue kwa serikali na mkue kwa pande mna support serikali ya Azimio ya Raila Amolo Odinga awe rais, but sasa mmegawana kura nyinyi wote, mkapatia advantage mlengo ule mwingine akapata zile kura zake amepata na akapita. Mmepata rais, lakini rais ana nguvu kwa mbunge, itakuwa shida ya kuendesha serikali. Ndio tunasema isikue ni kitu kinafanyika bila mazungumzo, kwa sababu hapo ndio unaweza ngandamiza ile haki ya wale wengine kungombea. But panapo maelewano, watu wakae chini wazungumzi, waseme tukiangalia, tukipiga mnanda tuangalie, tunaona kuwa fulani ndio anaongoza hii pande, na nyinyi nyote mkiwa 10 amwezi ongoza wakati mmoja wenu ndiye atashinda. Ama mkingawana, mkikuwa nyinyi wote 10 mpoteze wote, mpatie advantage mlengo ile mwingine. Hiyo mazungumzo ndio inahitajika, watu waongeleshane, ndio waone the logic bit about it, alafu sasa ndio waweze kuwa wanajua ule candidate ako strong ndiye akue flagged ndiye asonge mbele. Iko maeneo zingine unapata tunaitwa friendly fire, kama kwenye natokea Makueni ukiangalia wale wanaongoza wote katika hiyo kinyang'anyiro cha useneti, wote tuko mlengo wa Azimio. Candidate wa ile pande nyingine ya Kenya Kwanza ni wale wanasemekana the others. Kwa hivyo whoever wins in Makueni atakuwa mtu wa Azimio. Kwa hivyo hiyo inaachwa wazi, waache hao washindane. Mwenye atashinda ni sawa, atakuwa mtu wetu. So hivyo ndio maoni yangu katika hiyo masuala ya zoning.
Lakini kuna lile swala ambalo watu wanasema pengine ukinitoa wakati huu na pengine katika mwezi mmoja ama majuma 3 yaliyosalia, huenda ikawa nitakuwa nimejizolea umaarufu wa kutosha na nishinde katika uchaguzi. Kwa nini unizone na wala usimruhusu mwananchi wa kawaida akajiamulia mwenyewe?
Ndio nasema hiyo zoning sasa, unajua watu wote nakiliwa katika ile orodha ya ABC. Kwa hivyo hata ukizone size west wa mtu wa ile karatasi ya ABC, kwa sababu karatasi zingine atasha printiwa ziko tayari. Kwa hivyo ile zoning inasemekana size ni ile friendly, watu wazigizane, na nyinyi wote mko karatasi ndio kwa debe. Lakini nikumbalianeni sasa, mkiwa nyinyi 6 ama 10, mkienda nyinyi wote kwa debe, mkiongea kila mtu akiomba kura apewe kura, mtazingawana zile kura na mtapatia mwenzio wa mlengo tofauti kushinda hii kiti. Bas wanakubaliana, nasema sisi wote tumekubaliana, tumeongeleshwa na kinara wetu, waacha tuseme, tuambie wananchi ndio tuko kwa ballot, lakini mkienda kwa ballot tumesida wa interest kwa ballot, wekeni kura zenu kwa huyu, ndio huyu asonge mbele.
Najua mwananchi anajiuliza kwamba hali hiyo pengine huenda haitasababisha mtafaruku ama kukosa kuwa wananchi kuwa confused, wanavyosema kwa lugha ya Kimombo, kuwa confused, kwa kwamba pengine kura, baadhi ya karatasi za kupiga kura katika maeneo tofauti nchini, hasa maeneo ambayo hayana kesi za uchaguzi, tayari zimeshaanza kufika nchini. Lakini pale ambapo mnasema kwamba kwa sasa wanasiasa tutaketi chini tuseme kwanza tuna msupport Patrick, pengine hali hiyo huoni kwamba pengine huenda ikasababisha kuchanganyikiwa pale katika kupiga kura, kwamba pengine mnatuambia hivi lakini nikifika pale bado uko katika debeni, licha kwamba una support ama pengine unaunga mkono mtu mwingine? Kwa nini pengine haya makubaliano yasifanyike kabla ya pengine karatasi za kupigia kura zichapishwe?
Unajua, ukiangalia demokrasia ya Kenya bado haijakuwa kiwango kama nchi tuseme kama ya Marekani. Unaona Kenya na venye tumefikia saa hizi, hakuna chama moja Kenya itoi kuunda serikali. Ndio tutaendelea kuzidi kuwa na milengo ya coalitions kwa hata miaka ijayo, mpaka ile siku tutakuwa tuna narrow wa democracy, tuweze kukumbalia tuwe na chama kama 2 zenye ziko na national outlook kama nchi yetu ya Kenya. Ukiangalia Marekani tuko na hii Republican na Democrats, hiyo wamejiona, wewe unajua kwa pande gani? So hao wanapatia watu wao nafasi kwa ile kura ya mchunjo, wanachunjana kule before ilo main elections. Kama Democrats wanafanya hiyo mchunjo kura hizo, alafu wakishachunja pale ndio wanapata candidate mmoja mwenye atakuja kushindana ule mlengo mwingine wa Republican. Na hao vile wa Republican wanafanya vile. But hapa Kenya unaona chama ni mingi, kwa sababu penye tulizindua sheria tukakuwa mlengo wa vyama mingi, watu wengi wamechukua advantage na kila mtu ni kama anafungua chama yake kila kuchao Kenya. Unapata vyama ni mingi, lakini siangalia zote hakuna moja, na mingi zetu ni kama square ethnic, drawn to the villages, drawn to our, centralized to our areas of ethnic origins. So unafuata hizo chama venye zipo haziwezi kuja kuunda serikali individually. Ndio zitakuja kufanya coalition masaa ya mwisho. Na hiyo coalitions unapata coalition haina hiyo nafasi ya kuleta candidate mmoja kwa sababu hiyo coalition si chama. It's not a political party, ni coalition. Sasa ndio unaona sasa imefanyika hivi. Watu wengi wako wanafai, lakini katika chama yako iko kwa mlengo either hili ama ile. Basi ile mnafaa mfanye, ndio hiyo nasema saa hizi. Ingelikuwa kama wangefanya mapema hii coalition, waseme sasa kama ni Azimio tutafanya mchunjo wetu wa vyama vyetu kukiwa na nafasi ile wakati wa michunjo. Tujue kama ni eneo ya Makueni wale wa chama zote ziende mchunjo. Mwenye atambuka mshindi tunajua huyo ndio tutaweka kwa gazeti kama Azimio, tukubaliane. But hiyo nafasi ikutokea. Kwa hivyo ni kama tunaenda kuchunja wakati wa uchaguzi. But tunaona sasa kila mtu majina yake kwa ile orodha ya ABC, karatasi ya ballot. Basi tunasema tunataka kutumia ile inaitwa logic kwa Kiingereza. Tukuje pamoja, tujadiliane. Ndio tunataka kuunda serikali kama Azimio. Na itakuwa ngumu sana kupatia viongozi wetu nafasi ya kuendesha nchi pasipo kuwa na namba za kutosha kule katika parliament ama nyumba za Senate.
Naam.
Yeah.
Na hilo ni swala ambalo limejitokeza katika baadhi ya viongozi ambao ni tajika tu katika mrengo wa Azimio, wakiwarai wananchi kupiga kura katika mrengo wa niaje ama wagombea wanaohusika na Azimio la Umoja, kutokana na kwamba kuna mipango ya kuhakikisha kwamba agenda katika bunge hazitatiziki. Lakini tukisonga mbele, tuangazie siasa zinazohusika na masuala ya unga. Na hapo jana serikali imesema kwamba bei ya unga wa sima utakuwa sasa shilingi 100 na sio shilingi milioni shilingi 200 kusonga mbele. Ni kama anapenda mamilioni, lakini hata hivyo tutasonga mbele. Hatua ya kupunguza pengine bei ya ugali nchini ni hatua ambayo imepokelewa kwa hisia na mirengo tofauti ya kisiasa, ikisema kwamba hii ni njia pengine ya kujitafutia kura mwezi mmoja kabla ya uchaguzi, na ipo matamshi kwamba bei hiyo ni bei ya mwezi mmoja. Kutokana na hapo huenda bei hiyo wakaangalia tena na kusema pengine huenda bei hiyo ikasonga mbele kuwa 100 ama chini hata zaidi, ama pengine ikapandishwa. Sasa nataka tuzungumzie swala pengine la gharama ya maisha kwa mwananchi wa kawaida. Sio masuala pengine ya unga tu, bali swala la gharama ya maisha kwa Mkenya wa kawaida bado ni zimu ambalo linazidi kutuandama.
Najua tulipokuwa tunasoma tulikuwa tunasema Kiswahili kitukuzwa, lakini wakati mwingine wakinatupiga chenga katika lugha ya Kimombo kusema tu kuna ile kitu inaitwa inflation katika nchi yenye uchangia kwa vitu mingi, tunaita market forces, demand and supply ya vitu. Na kuna kwa bei kuna vile unapata market, hizo markets zinajipika balance themselves. Unapata na ile inasababisha sana kuongezeka kwa bidhaa ya bei vitu Kenya. Ni ile inaitwa cost of energy. Kwa sababu cost of energy yetu kwanza iko juu sana, alafu unaangalia vitu zingine ni ile production. Unapata kuwa katika hii wakati kama Kenya kumekuwa na kiangazi sana, wale wakulima wamekuwa wakifanya production ya mahindi haiko kwa inatosha. Kwa hivyo inahitaji tu import kutoka nchi za nje. Kulikuwa the global issues also affect the supply and demand of these substances. Kama ile vita unaona ilikuwa inaendelea kule Ukraine yenye ilifunga hiyo gap kwa miaka mingi, penye kulikuwa na transport corridor ya bidhaa mingi kuingia Afrika. So hizo zinachangia bei kwenda juu. Na the government kuna fenye inakujanga in ku control what you call the inflation through the monetary policies na other policies inaletanga ndio ifanye control. Na naona ndio serikali imeingilia saa hizi ikasema inatoa ushuru yote yenye inatozwa bidhaa cereals na mahindi, ikatoa ushuru yote ndio at least bei shuke ya unga, ndio mwananchi aweze kujimundu. Kwa hiyo wakati wa mwezi mmoja wakiangalia ni policy zingine zipi wanaweza kuimplement ndio to sustain and contain the cost of living in the country. Kwa hivyo huwa inategemea na vitu mingi, lakini sometimes sisi wanasiasa huwa tunachukua tunaifanya tunaongeza siasa ndani. na sometimes unajua it works against ama for, depending na wewe kwa side gani yenye unataka kusikiza. Na unajua ukweli kama una ukweli utapata umebebwa na ile pande yenye unataka kusikia, kwa sababu unajua most of the times wanasiasa upenda kuambia watu ile kitu wanapenda kusikia, ndio wakisikia ile hiyo ndio mzuri, wanyo wanaegemea upande yao na hiyo na wanapata kura. So hivyo ndio maoni yangu kuhusu hiyo maneno ya unga.
Na katika lawama zenu za kujitafutia umaarufu na uungwaji mkono na wananchi hapa nchini, tumeshuhudia kwamba baadhi ya wanasiasa wanasema wanatoa kidole cha lawama kwamba huyu na huyu ndio wanafaa kulaumiwa kutokana na pengine kuongezeka kwa gharama ya juu ya maisha. Na unaposema kwamba shughuli zinazofanyika katika pengine mataifa ya kigeni huenda zimeathiri kwa njia moja ama nyingine shughuli ya pengine masuala ya mfumuko wa bei nchini, kama kiongozi tunaposonga mbele, masuala gani pengine yaangaziwe ama sera gani ziwekwe katika mipango ili kuhakikisha kwamba kuna pengine usawa ama bei ya juu ya maisha imerejeshwa chini kidogo?
Unajua mimi kama kiongozi ile naonelea ni kuwa tunataka Kenya yenye inaweza jisimamia. Tunajiita independent nation, but bado tunaona tunategemea sana usaidizi kutoka nje na ukopaji mwingi katika nchi yetu ya Kenya, ambao ndio unafanya sana hata hizi bidhaa mingi sipande juu, kwa sababu tunataka waongeze ile kodi ndio wapate kupata ile pesa wamekopa warudishe kwenye walikopa. Unaona Kenya tuko na hiyo shida, na shida ya Kenya hata sikukopa wenyewe. Unapata mradi ingefanyika ya milioni 1 kwa sababu hiyo imefritiwa ikakuwa kama hiyo project itakuwa ya milioni kama 20, na ndio sasa pesa inakopwa kulipa vitu azinge kwa zinalipwa. So tunataka nchi inawajibika, tupigane na hii kitu hii elephant inashinda mbele yetu inaitwa corruption, kwa sababu inakandamiza hii nchi na inasimamisha maendeleo. Na tumegeuza nchi yetu, ukiangalia kiujumla tumengeuza nchi yetu ikakuwa nchi ya watu tunaita entrepreneurs. Watu wote wameacha kufanya kazi, kila mtu anataka kufanya tenda. Na hii tenda unafuata siku inflated sana. Unafuata kitu ilikuwa ingekuwa supplied kwa shilingi 100, watu wameweka ni 1000. Ndio winzi. Hiyo ndio winzi. Na unajua unaimbile serikali. Serikali itafanya nini ndio imudu kukulipa wewe? Itaongeza ushuru kwa bidhaa. Kila bidhaa ndio ipate pesa ilipe watu. Kwa sababu pesa serikali haikatai kulipa ikikopa. Ukifanyia kazi serikali hata kama itachukua muda utakuja kulipa mwishowe. But hiyo inamaanisha nini? Hiyo inamaanisha kuwa wewe ulikuwa unafikiria unajisaidia wewe mwenyewe na kuongeza bidhaa bei zile unafanya kusupply kwa serikali, ina affect mpaka watu wako, kwa sababu bei itaendelea kupanda juu, ndio serikali kusanya ushuru ya kutosha ndio ipate kukadamia kulipa hizo vitu zote. Kwa hivyo tunataka nchi yenye inaweza watu wanaweza simama, watu wako na integrity, upright people wanaweza sema let us say no to corruption. Tukatae hiyo jinamizi ya ufisadi, ndio turudi tujenge nchi yenye inaweza kuwa self sustainable. Kenya tunajifunia sana upande wa kilimo, but watu wengi wameengemea wametoka pande ya kilimo. Kila mtu anatafuta white collar job. Kuna mtu wa karne size wale watu wako wanaenda kusoma kwa shule zote, wote wanatafuta kazi. Na mimi na washauri vijana wenzangu, ukimaliza shule ndio utapata kazi. Kazi yenye unaweza pata saa hizi, unajua mshahara ya Kenya ukianzia kazi na between 30,000 to 100,000. Tuwalai wa vijana wetu, kwa sababu ndio wako na nguvu, ndio wanaweza tegemea nchi kufanya kazi mingi na kulima na kufanya hizo kazi zote, kufanya mabiashara. Unaweza pata pesa mingi sana hata kushinda hiyo 100,000 ukiwa katika sekta ya ukuzaji na kuleta kuongeza kikapu ya Kenya katika our markets, to ensure that kama na shamba ziko Kenya, nifanya watu wakitoka huko mashambani wanataka kuja kukaa Nairobi, wanataka kuwa na anaza tu na kufurahia kuishi Nairobi. Walakini hii bei ya kuishi Nairobi ni ngari sana. So tunawasihi waanze kufikiria vile unaendelea kusoma, ndio masomo ni mzuri. Sisi wote mtakaa katika kiti ya ofisi mkuu mnaajiriwa ama mpate hizo kazi, kwa sababu hazikosa kutosha. Tuanze kufikiria namna gani tunaweza rudi mashinani kwa mashamba, tufalilie, tulime, tuingie tukue tunafanya kilimo kama kitu rais, kama ufungaji wa kuku, ufungaji wa samaki. Tuengemee hiyo line, kwa sababu hakuna siku moja mwananchi atakosa kula. Kwa hivyo ukiingia biashara yenye inaweza kuwa ina produce watu wale, ita ensure that wewe uko katika ajira na utakuwa unaweza kumudu maisha yako. Yeah.
Umezungumza kuhusiana pengine na wizi wa mali ya umma kupitia masuala ya zabuni, na hii leo tunatarajia mijadala kuhusiana na wagombea wa viti vya naibu wa rais, na tunatarajia kwamba masuala ya wizi wa mali ya umma, masuala ya ufisadi ni masuala ambayo huenda yakajitokeza sana katika mijadala hiyo. Pengine kwa kifupi, unatarajia kusikia nini kutokana na mjadala huu wa leo?
Kiongozi wa chama yangu ya na Kenya ni naibu wa kiongozi wa Azimio Raila Amolo Odinga, Martha Karua. Atakuwa stage leo, na sisi tunajua amebadilisha vile uongozi ilikuwa imeonekana kwa nchi yetu, kwa sababu watu wako na amani naye. Watu wengi na wauliza nasema wangepigia Raila Amolo Odinga kura, lakini watampigia sababu ya Martha Karua, kwa sababu ya agenda, msimamo, kusema hakuna ufisadi. Na hii ndio ile serikali tunangojea kwa mara ya kwanza nchini mwetu Kenya, ikomboe wananchi wa Kenya kutoka jinamizi ya ufisadi. Na tunangojea kusikia, na tunatumai, na mimi namwamini kiongozi wa chama yangu ya na Kenya Martha Karua atajikakamua pale, kwa sababu hiyo debate inatuonesha, unajua makamu naibu wa rais na rais ni kitu moja katika katiba yenye tuko nayo saa hizi, uwezo watenganisha. Kwa hivyo tuna ile maneno atanena leo tunayaamini, na tunajua yeye atafanya vizuri na ataweza ku-articulate issues vizuri, na aseme haswa venye serikali ya Azimio iko ready kung'ang'ana na kupigana kuondoa hii elephant inaitwa corruption nchi ya Kenya. Ndio tujifunie.
Asante sana kwa kauli hizo Patrick. Mwelekezi wangu ananiambia kwamba nifunganye virago, muda wangu umenipa kisogo. Basi mtazamaji, kufikia hapo sina la ziada. Nasema asante sana kwa utazamaji wako. Mimi naitwa Gladys Mungai. Susan Thuku amekuwa mfasiri wetu wa lugha ishara studioni. Mgeni wetu hii leo anafahamika kama Patrick Mbau. Endelea kutazama, tukutane hapo kesho inshallah.
Generation inakuja ni sisi tunalidi nchi.
Justina Wangui wa Mae, Root Party of Kenya.
Ukiitwa deputy itika.
Martha Wangari Karua, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party.
Tungetaka tuseme Wakenya wameamua.
Rigathi Gachagua, UDA.
We are coming to bring in change.
Ruth Wambui Musheru, Agano Party. Battle of the Deputies. The Deputy Presidential Debate live on the 19th July 2022, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
Beatrice Chepkoech, the fastest woman in the world, becomes the world champion here in Doha.
The World Athletics Championships is being hosted in Oregon, in the United States of America, for the first time ever from 15th to 24th of July 2022. An estimated 2,000 base track and field athletes representing more than 200 nations will come together in a celebration of diversity, human potential, and athletic achievement. Short races are not the only attractions. Marathon, magnificent throws.
Is it going to be long enough? Oh, it's a huge throw.
And outstanding jumps among other disciplines is expected as well. Although an immense task awaits them, our own Team Kenya is adequately represented by resolute athletes ready to liven up Hayward Field at the University of Oregon.
What a race, what heart. Oh my goodness me, so close.
Don't miss a single glorious moment, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Terrorism hurts all. Ugaidi unaumiza wote.
Terrorism has no religion or culture.
Ugaidi hauna dini wala utamaduni.
Say no to radicalization,
into violent extremism.
Pamoja tupinge ugaidi.
Together we will stop terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Kenya. Be vigilant.
We shall legalize weed.
Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya of the Roots Party.
Semeni Babakea. Babakea.
Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party.
Unajua mimi sina pesa ya serikali ama ya kashfa.
David Mwaure Wahiga of the Agano Party. And
Hakuna kura ya hasla mtaiba.
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Presidential Debate 2022. Do not adjust your sets.
Kupata Yes My Love kama skiza tune yako, dial *811 *816#.
Mutiso wewe nafanya nini hiyo? Wacha nieleza, panataka hiyo kitu. Panataka Mutiso.
Mbo sasa hiyo tu unakuja unaanza kunizuzia kwa nini hata sijafanya kitu.
Wewe nieleza Mutiso, hapana leta hiyo kitu. Taka. Wacha nachukua simu. Hello? Yes my lovely. Yes, I did the dishes.
Kupata Yes My Love, bonyeza *811 *816#. *811 *816#.
I'm the photographer of Black Milk. I have an exhibition in 8 weeks about how things get better with time. Darling Fluffy Kinky inspired me. I'm seeing how the twists blend with her hair over time. How she actually feels more confident. She's really more beautiful every week. That's definitely worth celebrating. Darling Fluffy Kinky. Twists that get better every day, just like you.
Good afternoon. Indeed, it is the 19th of July. The year is 2022. Thank you for tuning in to KBC Lunchtime News. We do have a comprehensive bulletin with the politics of the day, the state of the nation, business and sports. I am Nissy Imano. Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter this afternoon. Now, casual workers at Konza Technopolis have cited frustration, threats and attacks by Korean supervisors manning the construction of the KAIST University. The group has called on the government to fast-track the investigation process of the company officials who are alleged to have electrocuted a few of the casual workers.
Shalom Hospital, Machakos County. Meet James Carrier, a casual worker at Konza Technopolis. He is undergoing treatment after what he claims to have been electrocuted by an administrator at the company. Carrier says the scuffle ensued between the workers and supervisors when they demanded for an explanation on the termination of engagement of 20 workers unfairly.
Kim walianza kunipiga na John, site manager. Site manager.
Wakiwa wamekufunga overall.
Wakiwa wamenifunga overall. Sasa
na lipi alikupiga teke?
Na hiyo kafupi ndiye ameanza kunipiga teke. Nikijaribu kutoka na nipiga teke kunisha. Sasa ni kama ni kitu yenye walipanga mambo. Ukiona mahali ambao wao ndio wanajisimia CCTV wenyewe
na wanakuja wote.
Na walijaa hivi na tulibaki tukiwa wawili tu. Ni nini inafanyika? Akanipata nikilala hapo kwa hiyo main door. Naona unajua unaingia kwa hiyo ofisi, unatoa viatu alafu unaingilia hivi.
Huoni?
Si nikafika hapo venye nimeona tu mwangaza sioni chochote.
According to Carrier, workers at the facility are being decrying poor working conditions, lack of an employment contract, long working hours, intimidation and frequent attacks by the company officials, with some facing a job termination without notice. They are now appealing for the government intervention even after Higher Education Principal Secretary Ambassador Simon Nabukwesi visited the site to assess the situation.
Wafanyikazi ambao wameajiriwa na Bomi Consortium na wale wafanyikazi kadhaa wakajeruhiwa na wale ambao ni wa Korea wanaofanya kazi ya kujenga chuo kikuu hapa. Tuwe tumekuja kulainisha mambo, turekebishe uhusiano baina yao, kuwe na uhusiano mwema ili mradi uendeshwe vizuri na uweze kukamilika kwa wakati unaofaa ambao ni tarehe 23 mwezi wa 9 mwaka 2023 mwaka ujao.
The PS, while giving an assurance that action will be taken against the perpetrators, advised for analysis of the CCTV footage by the IT expert to ascertain the assault. Frederick Mwoki for Lunchtime News.
And Miraa traders and farmers from Nyambene area of Meru County have applauded the move by the governments of Kenya and Somalia to sign Miraa trade deal, which will see the produce from Kenya reopen a market in Somalia in the next 2 weeks. A new trade deal was signed between Kenya and Somalia during a meeting between President Uhuru Kenyatta and the newly elected Somalia President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed at State House.
During the signing of the trade agreement, Kenya was allowed to export miraa to Somalia, while Somalia will be importing fish to Kenya. The deal also saw resumption of flights by the Kenya Airways between the two countries. The miraa farmers and traders from Meru, led by their chairman Nyambene Miraa Farmers Association, Moses Lichoro, said that they have high expectations of an increase in their earnings as they have suffered since miraa market was banned in United Kingdom, Netherlands and Somalia. They say the move by the two governments will enable them cater for their basic needs and improve their livelihoods. They called upon the government to continue searching for more miraa international markets as there is high production of the crop.
Diwa na soko moja kama ya Somalia ndio unaona wakifunga wananchi wanateseka. Kwa hivyo kutufungulia nyingine ya DRC na Djibouti tunaendelea mzuri. Djibouti wakifunga hii tunaendelea na nyingine.
Beatrice Gatonyengetich, Lunchtime News.
Moving on, Rift Valley Regional Commissioner Maalim Mohammed has called for the conservation of Mau Forest, terming it as one of the water towers in the country and the main source of water in the South Rift region.
So we are saying, let us sustainably utilize our natural resources and also conserve for future generation. Already the piping has been laid, vile tutafanya distribution na kufikia tarehe 31, Mungu atujalie hata sisi tungetaka kurudi tuweze kushuhudia.
And the Kenya Rural Road Agencies, in conjunction with other stakeholders, has introduced a mobile weighbridge along the new Kajiado Imaroro Isara Road in an effort to root out overloaded sand trucks. This follows dozens of overloaded sand trucks that patronize the route, prompting a major public outcry.
The durability of the standard road under Kenya Rural Road Authority that handles 10 tons of vehicles is at stake, and the contractor in charge is left with 1 year out of 3 meant for maintenance. Impromptu mobile way bridges accompanied by police officers have been introduced to net the offenders. The new road community liaison officer Richard Sekeyan urges the security apparatus to work closely with road agencies to ensure the road is protected. He blames county government enforcement officer manning roadblocks for working in cahoots with sand brokers to allow overloaded truck past their roadblocks after paying bribes.
Overloading ya magari, of which ni challenge sana. Inafanya maintenance team yetu iwe ngumu, of which imeleta shida mingi sana. Barabara inapasuka, kuna pothole mingi sana, of which imeleta shida sana. So tunaomba tu stakeholders, weighbridge team, kera, waingilie kati, hii barabara iundwe vizuri.
Locals say despite a handful of some overloaded truck owners being arraigned in court, more need to be done to protect the road that came with an economic windfall for them. Elvis Otieno for Lunchtime News.
And elsewhere, a section of Embu leaders and Chuka University scholars now say that people who excel in academia, and especially the girl child, must be recognized to mentor others. They noted that many are not recognized locally and took upon themselves to celebrate a woman who acquired 2 PhDs to be recognized externally and awarded the Royal Fellowship Award from Great Britain and became a professor. Professor Jen Mugai, a lecturer at Chuka University, becomes the first woman in Kenya and second in Africa to receive the prestigious award. She graduated in December of 2020 at Chuka University with a second doctorate degree in education counseling psychology. Her first doctorate was in education, special needs education that includes disabilities from the Mount Kenya University, achieved in 2013. The leaders further warned that the boy child should not be forgotten when pushing the girl child to excel.
To decide to organize a party of recognition for academic achievement was the award that she got from Great Britain. She was given an award known as Royal Fellowship Award. This award is given to those who have excelled in the field of academia.
Royal Fellowship Award is awarded worldwide to people who have done something striking or something noticeable within a given area of their study. So I was given this award because of work experience through human behavioral sciences, that I have done something to touch people's heart, to work for them, to do with them together with the level of education that I've gotten.
On the international scene, Rafael Caro Quintero, the man allegedly responsible for the murder of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency agent Kiki Camarena more than 3 decades ago, is in Mexican custody. The development coming 3 days after Mexican President Andrés Manuel and U.S. President Joe Biden met at the State House.
Caro Quintero was captured in Costa Rica in 1985 and was serving a 40-year sentence in Mexico when an appeals court overturned his verdict in 2013. The Supreme Court upheld the sentence, but it was too late as Caro Quintero had been spirited off in a waiting vehicle. It was then that he was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted list in 2018 with a $20 million reward for his capture. The arrest, however, came at a great cost, as 14 Mexican Marines died and another was injured when a Navy Black Hawk helicopter crashed during the operation. The Navy said it appeared to have been an accident, though the matter is still under investigation. Elsewhere, former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon, a key ally to Donald Trump, is swimming in murky waters. His trial is set to start on Monday after defying a subpoena from the House Select Committee that's investigating the January 6 attack on the U.S. Capitol last year. Bannon was indicted in November on 2 counts of contempt of Congress after he failed to appear for deposition before the committee or provide requested documents in response to the subpoena. To Russia now, Vladimir Putin visits Iran today in his first trip outside the former Soviet Union since the invasion of Ukraine. The Russian president will meet Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei as he seeks to bolster the new foreign alliances his regime still enjoys. Putin has described Western sanctions against Moscow as a declaration of economic war and is focusing his attempts at international diplomacy on India, China and Tehran. His visit to the Iranian capital is his first trip beyond the old USSR since he traveled to China in February. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Daniel Mugo.
Meanwhile, a section of Njuri Ncheke elders and Jubilee Party leaders in Isiolo County have condemned the Sunday night incident in Isiolo town where rowdy youths engaged police in running battles. The youth who were attending illegal night political campaigns in Isiolo town took to the street in protest after police dispersed the gathering.
The Njurinjeke elders were in Isiolo to conduct traditional prayers for Jubilee Party leaders. Abdi Guyo, who is seeking the Isiolo County gubernatorial seat, and current Senator Fatma Dulo, who is seeking to defend her seat.
Ningependa kuchukua hii fursa kushukuru jamii ya Njurinjeke kwa kuniombea na kuniondoa kama candidate ya governor katika jimbo la Isiolo.
The elders, led by their county chairman Geoffrey Kinywa Nabea, called on the authorities to take immediate action against politicians who are openly flouting the code of conduct by engaging in illegal night campaigns.
Sisi tunataka siasa ifanywe na siasa ya amani, watu watafute kura na njia mzuri, na pia tungeonga viongozi ambaye wanatoka kutoka kaunti nyingine ambaye specifically kaunti ya Marsabit.
Sisi Isiolo tunataka Isiolo ya amani. Sisi kama Njurinjeke ni watu ya amani na tunapendana na jamii zote zile zinaishi Isiolo. Tumeishi na jamii zingine zote, hatujawahi kuona furugu.
Isiolo Senator Fatma Dulo called for swift action against politicians who she said are inciting members of public along ethnic lines. She called for tolerance and peaceful coexistence among all Kenyans regardless of one's ethnicity, noting that there is still life after elections which people need to put more focus on.
Sisi kama wana Isiolo tunataka kuishi kwa salama, siasa bila vurugu, siasa ya kushikanisha watu. Sisi ni jamii moja, kura inakuja leo inaisha kesho, na ni lazima tufanye siasa ambaye itashikanisha jamii, sio siasa ambaye itagonganisha watu.
For Lunchtime News, I'm Juliet Njoroge.
And a section of Embu leaders and Chuka University, I beg your pardon, I think we'll retake that story again. The National Fund for the Disabled of Kenya has spent close to 500 million shillings this year to empower thousands of Kenyans living with disabilities. The fund's Board of Trustees Vice Chairperson Mike Kiswili stated that of this, among 160 million shillings has been spent on buying assistive devices and tools of trade and to develop educational institutions handling learners with disabilities. Kiswili said the massive investments were in tandem with the objective of the fund to enhance the social and economic empowerment of persons with disability in all 47 counties of the country. He added that the fund has also spent 355 million shillings on countrywide intervention measures, including the construction of dormitories, classrooms, and other amenities geared towards empowering Kenyans with disabilities.
Tuko na wale ambao individuals ambao watapata usaidizi haswa katika hizi vifaa, iwe ni sewing machines, iwe ni agricultural farm implements, iwe ni saloon.
And moving on, gospel singer Reuben Kigame and presidential hopeful has lauded the High Court decision to order Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC to include his name on the presidential ballot paper. In his judgment, Justice Mrima said the commission violated the aspirant's rights by locking him out of the contest. All right, we are taking a short break. We will bring that story after this break. Do stay with us.
Generation inakuja ni sisi tunalidi nchi.
Justina Wangui wa Mae, Root Party of Kenya.
Ukiitwa deputy itika.
Martha Wangari Karua, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party.
Tungetaka tuseme Wakenya wameamua.
Rigathi Gachagua, UDA.
We are coming to bring in change.
Ruth Wambui Musheru, Agano Party. Battle of the Deputies. The Deputy Presidential Debate live on the 19th July 2022, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
The fastest woman in the world becomes the world champion here in Doha.
The World Athletics Championships is being hosted in Oregon, in the United States of America, for the first time ever from 15th to 24th of July 2022. An estimated 2,000 base track and field athletes representing more than 200 nations will come together in a celebration of diversity, human potential, and athletic achievement. Short races are not the only attractions. Marathon, magnificent throws.
Is it going to be long enough? Oh, it's a huge throw.
And outstanding jumps among other disciplines is expected as well. Although an immense task awaits them, our own Team Kenya is adequately represented by resolute athletes ready to liven up Hayward Field at the University of Oregon.
What a race! What heart! Oh my goodness me! So close!
Don't miss a single glorious moment, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Lunchtime News. Now, we'll retake the story on politics. gospel singer Reuben Kigame and presidential hopeful has lauded the High Court decision to order Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to include his name on the presidential ballot paper. In his judgment, Justice Mrima said the commission violated the aspirant's rights by locking him out of the contest.
The move to bar gospel singer Reuben Kigame from contesting for the presidency has been revoked by High Court Judge Anthony Mrima. In his judgment, Justice Mrima said the commission violated the aspirant's rights by locking him out of the contest. His lawyer, Dr. John Kaminwa, welcomed the judgment and celebrated the judge for the ruling.
Tunasherehekea ushindi wa vikundi vingi tu, na hivi alasiri ya leo korti ya juu imeamua kwamba IEBC na Wafula Chebukati walikosea kwa kutonijumlisha kwenye orodha ya wagombezi wa kiti cha urais. Kwangu ni ushindi wa watu wengi.
Meanwhile, Siaya Senator James Orengo has undertook to ensure good governance is given priority as a catalyst for development of Siaya County government should he become the next governor.
We take leadership is to assure people of Siaya good governance. I can tell you in many countries where there has been success, it's not because of resources. The most fundamental point is about assuring the people of good governance. That's why in our constitution, you must provide leadership. And that has no doubt that we have two gentlemen here who are capable of providing that leadership.
Elsewhere, the Union of Civil Servants in Busia County chapter has thrown their weight behind Dr. Paulo Tuoma to vie for the governorship bid on Orange Democratic Movement ODM.
Tunataka kumuunga mkono wa Bwana Paulo Tuoma Nyongesa kwa dhati, na tunajua tuna uwezo na tuna numbers na tunajua tutaweza.
Therefore, as a group and the leadership, we've decided without any coercion that we will stand and support his governorship.
Finally, a section of leaders allied to the Umoja One Kenya Alliance from Coast Region has called on the electorates to vote for leaders who have their interests of Kenyans at heart. Led by Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho, the leaders took the Azimio presidential campaign in Kilifi County with calls to reject leaders with no track record in transforming the lives of Kenyans.
Kwa Mkenya yoyote ambaye anatoka katika jamii ya uchache, your opportunity is to support someone like Raila Amolo Odinga. So ende alete usawa, afungue njia. Ndio wewe ukiamua unataka uongozi, usifikirie mara mbili, uwe na nafasi katika taifa hili.
Tunataka tupate dawa ya uporaji na dawa ya waporaji.
Meanwhile, the Power of Mercy Advisory Committee wants to create legal and policy frameworks for the smooth implementation of Article 133 of the Constitution of Kenya. Joint Secretary of the committee, Stephen Gitau, says there's need to review the Power of Mercy Act 2011 to create a more integrated framework. Article 133 grants the president powers to freely or conditionally pardon a convict, substitute it with a less severe form of punishment, or remit all or part of the punishment.
Speaking during a public participation forum in Migori Town, the Power of Mercy Advisory Committee Joint Secretary Stephen Gitau said there was a need to review the Power of Mercy Act 2011 to create a more integrated framework and clarify on who they serve. Gitau noting there are concerns about how to help pregnant mothers, children in prison, and the elderly who do not have support systems once released from jail.
There's a feeling by the community that their views, the community leaders, the religious leaders, they feel they have got a role to play. Even when you're setting up case management committee at a local level, there is need to engage the local community leaders, religious leaders, national government administrative officers, so that we can have a comprehensive resettlement and integration process.
In their contribution, Migori residents urged the committee to create a process that will help ex-convicts get their certificates of good conduct at pardon. They further asked the government to listen to victims and compensate wrongfully convicted persons before pardoning them.
Kana wahakikisha ya kwamba wamefanya thorough investigations na zile committees ambayo watakuwa wana form, pia inatakikana ya kwamba wahakikisha ya kwamba wameziform na iwe devolve from uko national level paka kwa sub county level, na kama ingeliwezekana ifike hata mpaka kwa locational levels.
Among the factors they consider in accessing a petition for pardon are the age of the convict, circumstances, nature and seriousness of the offense, period served, interest of state or community, and the reports from prison and probation. These reports are monitored by pardon officers stationed at the correctional facilities who report on all matters related to the power of mercy. However, a prisoner must have served at least 1/3 of their prison term or 5 years for those serving life imprisonments to be eligible. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Samuel Karaoke.
Moving on, the Kenya Red Cross has warned that over 4.1 million people are at risk of being affected by the ongoing drought situation in the country following lack of April-June rains. Red Cross head of disaster Michael Ayabe says livestock offtake program has been initiated in 14 counties worst hit by drought as part of mitigation measures.
In a move to provide relief meat to communities in danger of starvation and also purchase livestock from farmers to prevent them from incurring losses, Red Cross has initiated a livestock offtake program in 14 counties worst hit by drought.
The condition has not changed much. We had some rains 2 months ago, but the rains are not sufficient. So we still have a problem of shortage of food. The drought is still here with us. And you can see the people who have turned up to get meat, which we are slaughtering and giving them as a relief intervention.
Kenya Red Cross Society, working with other partners, has been looking at the issue of nutrition. We know also that this is going hand in hand with mental health issues, because farmers or pastoralists who have lost livestock or have lost the crops then and have nothing really to depend.
Among those said to benefit are residents of Tiati in Baringo, where the program targets to benefit 20,000 families and 2,053 livestock across the county.
Hoping that many other people will come in to support, then this problem can alleviate the suffering.
Casses Collins, the head teacher of Riongo Primary School in Tiati sub-county, says the school has recorded a declining number of pupils as a result of the ongoing drought situation.
Kama vile ilikuwa tumefungua tu hii shule at the beginning of end of last term tulikuwa na watoto 315, lakini sasa hii wiki tumefungua, mambo ya njaa ni mingi. Watoto wenye merekodisha mpaka siku ya leo tulikuwa ni watoto 109.
As drought continued to hamper learning in some primary schools, education stakeholders now challenge the government to provide school feeding program. Ben Chumba, Lunchtime News.
All right, on to the day's business now, where the cost of producing a kilo of coffee has doubled on high price of farm inputs and fuel. Kenya Coffee Producers Association Chairman Peter Gikonyo says this has denied Kenyan coffee farmers from reaping maximally from the high prices in the global market.
Ona ni inawezekana mkulima akuwe akipata bei mzuri ya kahawa ama akuwe akifaidika kwa biashara ya kahawa. Kuna vile mkulima lazima mwenyewe ahusike katika hii biashara ya kahawa. Mwanzo kabisa ni vile analima kahawa yake kulingana na utaratibu unaokubalika ili nayo waweze kupata zile soko mzuri kule upande ya nje.
Because we also realize that, for example, about 50% of the coffee produced here in Kenya goes to the European market. So we also need to work with our partners in the European market and really make this a success.
3 young investors are set to represent Kenya in a continental competition that seeks to discover and support young investors across the continent, dubbed Sahara Steamers Program. The program targets young people in the science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics disciplines who are solving everyday problems facing humanity.
The program was designed to create an opportunity for 150 participants across 3 countries, Nigeria, Kenya, and Uganda. The 3 from Kenya emerged winners following a keen competition that featured impressive inventions by the young students. One of the projects presented by the students was an automated home cleaner designed to help people perform house chores. The device is fitted with a vacuum that operates as an automatic floor cleaner. The innovation, which is aimed at solving global warming challenges, uses wind power.
Congratulations to everyone. Specifically, the ideas or the groups that we selected were based on the fact that they focused on a problem that they see within communities and thought about how to use technology to creatively solve those problems.
Learners were also assessed on how they explored simulations and hands-on learning of physical computing concepts, and it emerged that the contestants were able to identify a problem in their community and delivered projects that offer solutions. Sultan Kiriga, STEM Cafe educator, said the initiative will help inspire a generation of change makers to help tackle prevalent challenges within their communities by identifying new approaches and developing innovative solutions to address local problems.
It's a program that it's meant to empower kids to learn on engineering and science in the most basic way, and that's using their hands.
Experts in the energy sector lauded the students' innovations, committing to facilitate access to clean energy in Kenya.
It's always amazing to look at the young generation, because the young generation is the future, and would want to see more of this, would want to see where we're going to help so many young people to be able to realize their dreams, to be able to open up their minds and think outside the box.
Nduta Mokami for Lunchtime News.
Moving on, fish farmers in the Lake region are set to benefit from the newly constructed fish processing plant at Sori Bay in Migori County. The 140 million shilling project will be open for use to all fish farmers in the region and would significantly reduce post-harvest losses.
Kenya has a production capacity potential of over 11 million tons of fish per year, with Migori County's production potential standing at 450 metric tons. Despite this, the Lakeside County only produced 147 metric tons of fish in the last year, the difference mostly being attributed to high post-harvest losses. Due to this, the government set up the Sori Bay Fish Processing Plant, strategically set at the center of the fish-producing region, to cater towards fish farmers' storage and processing needs. In order to boost revenue from the subsector, the plant has the capacity to process 25 tons of fish per day.
Sit down and design a very workable arrangement on the fishermen to benefit from this facility. That must be agreed upon.
We do value addition for our products so that the fish that is going to be produced from here is processed, kept in a fridge, so that it is a perishable commodity.
With the facility set to open for use after inspection, fish farmers have expressed their worry over the use of the facility, calling on the government to come up with a workable schedule. Fisheries PS Francis Owino directed the beach management unit tasked with managing the facility to submit a working arrangement that would suit all stakeholders of the project. Hibak Said for Lunchtime News.
Meanwhile, the government has rolled out the livestock offtake program targeting 13 drought-hit counties where livestock is bought, slaughtered and distributed to households facing hunger. The program, being implemented by the Kenya Meat Commission and Kenya Red Cross Society, targets to benefit about 267 1,000 households. Details of this and others from the corporate scene.
The prolonged drought has left over 4.1 million Kenyans in 23 arid and semi-arid counties in need of food aid, and livestock hasn't been spared either. Data from the National Drought Management Authority indicate heavy livestock losses across the 23 counties, with assessments showing livestock losses of up to 70% in places such as Ileret in Marsabit County. To mitigate the effects, the Kenya Meat Commission and the Kenya Red Cross Society have rolled out a livestock destocking program targeting 13 counties. Under the government-funded project, the Kenya Meat Commission is providing oversight of slaughtering the livestock. Then the meat is distributed by the Kenya Red Cross Society to households facing hunger. And L'Oreal Professional Paris has partnered with professional hairstylists in Kenya to officially release its newest range of natural hair care products in Kenya that target the youthful population, popularly referred to as Generation Z. Kenya, Nigeria and South Africa are listed among key markets for hair care markets, with key market segments driving growth for hair care market on the continent. Finally, Kenya is targeting group travelers as a strategy to increase tourist arrivals as the sector recovers from COVID-19 disruptions.
As we kick off the evening, I ask that we continue in the same vein that we started yesterday. The vibe of being able to interact as women, being able to share ideas, being able to be sparring partners for each other, bounce ideas off each other is actually what this evening is about.
Long-lasting lifetime connections and networks such that we do have open communication and open networks to continue working together post this engagement. And I think this is a value actually of you coming to Africa on this retreat.
Tourism Principal Secretary Zainab Hussein says group travel is today a big catalyst to tourism growth in terms of numbers and receipt, especially in the post-COVID era, and that the government would take full advantage of its pooled travelers. Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
And a section of Ukambani political leaders from Azimio coalition, including those affiliated to the Jubilee Party, have teamed up with UDA counterparts to revolt Wiper's six-piece call in the August polls. The leaders claim the move, which is being fronted by Wiper leader, if adopted, will deny voters their right to exercise their democratic right.
Addressing the press after an indoor meeting with the Independence Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC), the aggrieved team claim the Azimio One Kenya being a coalition with numerous parties, each candidate deserve a fair chance.
Wananchi wakifanya namna hiyo watapatiwa viongozi ambao hawana imani na wao, watapatiwa viongozi ambao wana imani na vyama. Kwa hivyo chama chochote kile akita kusaidia wewe mwananchi kupata chochote kile wanataka, kama ni basari, kama ni maji, kama ni youth.
Elsewhere, the Wiper Democratic Movement has objected the six-piece of voting being fronted by the ODM at the coast. Led by Sheikh Twaha Jabu, Wiper Party chairman in Mombasa County, and the party's NEC members also noted that they are confident former Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko will be in the race for Mombasa Governor on August 9th.
Hapa Kilifi nina imani miongoni mwa ticket ama ushindi ambao kwamba utakuja ndani ya Azimio ni kupitia Wiper na
In Machakos County, a section of political leaders from the area have urged voters to keenly scrutinize those seeking elective post in the August polls.
Na ndio nawaomba watu wa Machakos tuchague mwanaume ama mwanamke wa hapa Machakos.
And former Moi detainee has endorsed Raila Odinga's presidential bid. Mtumishi Njeru Gathangu observed that there was a good reason as to why President Uhuru Kenyatta shook hands with Raila Odinga. Finally, Narok ODM Governor candidate Moitalel Olekenta has demanded that the Maa community be given a top seat in the Azimio One Kenya despite their small numbers.
Wamehakikishia sisi kwamba watampea Raila Odinga kura na Raila atakuwa rais, na ningetaka kumshawishi yeye ama kumwambia kwamba wakati atachukua uzukani hii jamii ipate kiti ya maana kwa national government.
Zainab Said, Lunchtime News.
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with Lunchtime News. We do give you news of things that are currently happening, and 20 days to the general election. We are on the campaign trail. We have JJ Kuria, who is our reporter, who is following up on Kenya Kwanza, and he joins us now live with an update.
Thank you very much, Nissy. Imano, we live from the Masinga town. Masinga town is a town in Masinga constituency of Machakos County, and this is one of the places where the Deputy President William Ruto is holding a series of rallies in his extended tour of Ukambani region. The Deputy President has done several meetings in Kitui and is now headed towards Machakos and specifically Masinga town. And finally, the Deputy President will conclude his tour of Machakos County when he tours Machakos town. But any minute from now, we expect the Deputy President to be making his way to Masinga town to speak to residents here as he continues to popularize his bottom-up economic model to the people of Ukambani. When you think about Machakos, Makueni and Kitui, and these are some of the counties that the Deputy President will be touring, or rather consist the counties that form Ukambani region. They have a cumulative a tally of about 2 million votes, and this is what will be up for grabs between the Kenya Kwanza coalition as well as the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party. But you will remember then that Kalonzo Musyoka, the Wiper party leader, comes from this region, so you would obviously expect that they will have an edge, and probably this is what the Deputy President intends to alter when he rallies the area residents to vote for UDA and the Kenya Kwanza coalition. Obviously, he's accompanied by other luminaries of the Kenya Kwanza coalition as he makes his way here, obviously, to talk to the residents here about supporting the bottom-up economic model. He's not here just yet, but of course when he comes, we shall be beaming this event live. But for now, let me hand it back to you, Nissy, Imano, Oka.
All right, thank you very much, Kuria, and our team that are covering the Kenya Kwanza tour of the Ukambani region. Of course, that report will come to you comprehensively in our subsequent bulletins. For now, some more business news where the International Monetary Fund is pressing Kenya to urgently conclude reforming Kenya Airways and Kenya Power. The fund has also put the government on spot for failing to put in place anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism frameworks. IMF has agreed to release a 28 billion shilling loan to Kenya, bringing the total disbursement under the 237 billion shillings 3-year program to 143 billion shillings so far.
Kenya and the International Monetary Fund signed the Emergency Credit Facility in 2021 to cushion the country against the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, Kenya has persistently failed to meet some of the conditions set by the IMF. Part of the targets that were missed is the 2022-2023 fiscal consolidation. The IMF had also asked the government to push the results of a forensic audit of COVID-19 vaccine spending by the end of May this year before accessing loans. But the IMF board says Kenya has not yet met the above conditions, instead asking for more time. The fund is now pressing Kenya to conclude reforming Kenya Power and Kenya Airways in a bid to make them profitable and streamline their operations. The KQ turnaround plan is stuck in Parliament, with a nationalisation law yet to be enacted. Last year, the government appointed a task force to oversee reforms at Kenya Power, declaring it a special government project. IMF has halted Kenya's slow pace in reforming state entities that are insolvent. The IMF board says the third quantitative review conducted in late March through early April has shown that Kenya's economic recovery is on track, and it's expected to withstand the twin shocks of the election and the commodity crisis rocking the global economy. The Bretton Woods institution says the 28 billion shillings will go towards budgetary support and relieving inflationary pressures occasioned by the rising global fuel and fertilizer prices.
Elsewhere, CIC Insurance Group and AA Kenya have partnered to offer an accident scene management service in a move the insurance company hopes will help reduce accident claim, fraud and claim delays experienced by clients. At the launch of the solution, the underwriter says the partnership is introducing a model that will see some of the sector's teething problems in claim processing addressed through product innovation.
Thank you.
Since the introduction of a law against abuse of buyer power in 2019, the Competition Authority of Kenya, CAK, says most complaints have been against insurance firms. In the last financial year, the number of complaints against insurance companies accounted for 72% of total complaints lodged and investigated. This is against the backdrop of reported losses in motor insurance, mostly attributed to fraudulent claims.
A lot of delays that happen in claims, it is largely because of information. The information doesn't come on time. But now when you work with CIC Motoring Assist, we'll have somebody at the scene collecting, somebody who is professionally trained to collect information.
CIC Insurance is leveraging partnerships interlaced with innovation to safeguard against fraud and delays in honoring claims by policyholders when they fall due.
It's more to say when you have a need, especially when you have an accident, you need somebody, you need a friend that you can trust to be with you, and that friend becomes the AA. And it's simply to say if you're involved in an accident and you're a CIC comprehensive cover customer, you call AA and we'll be there and we'll manage that scene for you.
Driving in urban centers like Nairobi is stressful. You're bound to be hit or you're bound to hit someone else with your vehicle. But now insurance companies are tapping into innovation to safeguard you from this vice. Alan Auko, Lunchtime News.
And on the African continent, Algeria and Italy have signed several agreements, including an energy deal to boost gas supplies and reduce the country's reliance on Russian gas. Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi visited Algeria on Monday in a bid to seal major energy deals with the North African country. Italy buys the majority of its natural gas from abroad, with some 45% of its imports historically coming from Russia, which is threatening to cut its supplies to Europe due to a diplomatic tiff pairing Moscow and Brussels.
Italy is increasingly looking to Algeria, historically its second biggest supplier of gas, to reduce the dependence after the war in Ukraine sparked sanctions against Moscow and sent energy prices soaring. Algeria has therefore surpassed Russia to become the biggest supplier of gas to Italy. Algeria and Italy also expect to sign accords to bolster judicial, industrial and cultural cooperation. Algeria is set to furnish Italy with around 20 billion cubic meters of gas in 2022. Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi previously visited Algeria in April when he concluded a deal increasing Algerian deliveries to Italy through the Transmed pipeline by up to 9 billion cubic meters per year. In May, he signed a memorandum of understanding with Algeria's Sonatrach to boost gas exploration in the North African country. Algeria is Africa's biggest gas exporter and supplies around 11% of the natural gas consumed in Europe. Meanwhile, insurance claims from companies in South Africa have become more severe over the past 5 years due to factors such as higher property and asset values, more complex supply chains, and the growing concentration of exposures in one location, such as in natural catastrophe-prone areas. Fire, faulty workmanship, and natural catastrophes are the top causes of insurance claims, and the future is not looking very bright. South Africa experienced 3 major claim events in the past 3 years: COVID-19 business interruption following the nationwide hard lockdown, as well as civil unrest and even flooding. Finally, the United Arab Emirates carrier is making a play for Africa with its plan to add its 22 routes, secure code-sharing agreements, and bring millions of Africans through its Dubai hub. The continent is today desperately lacking in flights, despite most African countries launching national airlines after independence to fly their new flags around the world. Only Ethiopian Airways can realistically claim to connect Africa in part by dragging everyone through Addis Ababa. Now, though, Emirates and the United Arab Emirates carrier is making a play for Africa.
Let's take a look at what is making headlines in the world of sports. And Olympic champion Faith Kipyegon won Kenya her first gold medal this morning at the ongoing World Athletics Championships in Oregon, United States. The 28-year-old dominated the 1500 meters final from start to finish, taking the gold in 3 minutes 52.96 seconds. Consulas Kipruto secured a second bronze for Kenya, finishing third in the 3,000 meters steeplechase.
Faith Kipyegon won Kenya her first gold medal at the 2022 Oregon World Championships.
She's got to hang on, but I think they're okay for the medals. They're still miles clear of the athletes in 4th, 5th and 6th.
Kipyegon clocked 3 minutes 52.96 seconds to beat Ethiopia to their 4th gold and win Kenya her first gold that puts them third on the table behind their African rivals.
Taken this title. She's absolutely obliterated the whole field. 3:52.96.
It was not easy, but I thank God. But another one, we thank God because we get a medal for Faith Kipyegon. I think this is the first medal because the others were silver, bronze. But all in all, we thank God and then we pray to get more medals.
She adds that world gold to the one she won in London in 2017 and Doha in 2019.
Yes, I'm going for Commonwealth, so I'm going to see what I can just get something there.
Another Kenyan, Consulas Kipruto, won a bronze medal in the 3,000 meters steeplechase after finishing third behind champion Sofine El Bakali of Morocco and Lamecha Girma of Ethiopia, who was second.
I gave it all today and I got bronze. I had a lot of plans and actually I managed to control it. The first six laps I was okay, on which it was on my plans. But actually the last 150 meters, I got some challenges, but we agree that is sports. And actually being a bronze medalist after 2 years is good result for me, and I'm still happy for it. So I didn't defend my title. I'm actually happy for coming back and got a bronze or I got a medal.
Kipruto missed out on last year's Tokyo Olympics due to injury.
And world champion Timothy Cheruiyot will be seeking to defend his title as he lines up for the 1500 meter steeplechase finals tomorrow morning at the World Athletics Championships in Oregon, United States. Abel Kipsang will also be competing for gold in the race.
Abel Kipsang and Timothy Cheruiyot will hand Kenya's second gold medal of the 2022 World Championships ongoing in Oregon, United States, when they take to the track in the final of the 1500 meters. Timothy Cheruiyot is the defending champion after he won the previous edition of the World Championships in Doha, Qatar in 2019, clocking 3 minutes 29.26 seconds. He is also the Tokyo's 2020 Olympic silver medalist. Compatriot Abel Kipsang will also be in the race. Abel is the gold medalist in the African Championships and the bronze medalist in the 2022 Belgrade World Indoor Championship. Currently, Kenya's hunt for medals tallies at 1 gold, 3 silver and 2 bronze. All the action will be televised live on KBC Channel 1.
Champion of...
Thank you for staying tuned to this live bulletin. We have been live also on Facebook, and I do want to acknowledge a couple of people. Gideon K. Kisoma says he's been tuned. General Lenny Tibim, Honorable Kalaisinga Mwene, Ruth Ndunge, Martha Dolade, and so many others. We do appreciate your feedback and your interaction. I am Nissy Imano. Lensa Odingo has been our sign language interpreter. Good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Mama mpenzi, naahidi tutakutana peponi. Naenda kupigania malengo makuu ya dini yetu.
What life had Hamida chosen? At the end, she was brutally murdered. Is this the life you want? If you know anyone who might need our help, please call our toll-free line 0800 72